I lost track of the time. I didn't even realize what time it was. But happy Thursday. Happy Shadow Priest Day, everybody. Alright, my first raid is not on this guy. So I just want to get these fast. But today's a fun day. And due to like rescheduling and stuff, I have Shadow Priest back to back for 25 man. So no dumb mage getting in the way of it. Hello. Hey, what's up, Trevor? How's it going, man? Just getting some tailoring buffs on the main priest, and then gonna log over to the alt for the first raid. Don't pull aggro. Oh, you son of a bitch. Alright. His crown. Hey, what's up, Rebithy? How are you doing, man? Happy Thursday evening. You're raiding soon? Ah, damn. I'm good. I'm good. You know, it's not the best phase, but you know, just enjoying the casualness, I guess, of this raid. Yeah, but no, I'm good. I'm good. Planning some fun content for ICC. But how are you? I feel like I haven't seen you in a while. I have everything I need. Flask. Ooh, I need potions. I'm low on potions. What we got? This will load. There we go. What do we got? Potions. Wild magic. No haste. Oh, got it. You've been hanging out, just not in chat. That's cool. Well, I'm glad to know you're still around. Hey, what's up, Bacon? How's it going? I need some potions of speed. Let's get this. What's up, undereducated voter? You have a very long name, by the way. I was about to call you voter, but I don't know. I feel like I need the full name. But yeah, Shadow Priest Day. This is fun. It's you know, back-to-back Shadow Priest raids. Start off with the alt, so get a little warm-up in. You know, parsing doesn't matter. Just playing for the fun of it. And then got the serious raid after. I've been going through a UI revamp. Yeah, so this is Fojji's UI right here. If you look in the description of the video, this is an edited version of it, actually created by someone in the Shadow Priest Discord. So it's kind of cool. So it is Fojji's, but then it has some cool effects to it. So like it'll glow green when you can improve your Shadow Word Pain on your current target. So essentially, if you cast Shadow Word Pain and then like Lust goes out, it'll tell you that you can recast, assuming you meet like a certain threshold for DPS. And then it'll also tell you when you reach a certain haste and spell power to not use Mind Blast anymore, because it's better DPS to just keep using Mind Flay. So, and it has, you know, the Vampiric Touch recast tracker right here. So it's got some good stuff in it. So I'd recommend it for sure. Yeah, Passions has some good stuff. I actually really like his what do I have for Passions? I like these cooldowns, honestly, because they're just kind of big, and that's actually just because they're big. But that's what I use from Passions. I love Fojji's UI though. It's awesome. It pretty much has everything you need. And there's this fun new Weakaura that I just got yesterday, Mind Flay Clip Delay. So essentially whatever your MS is when you cast Mind Flay. Hey, what's up, val'kyr? So like whenever your MS is, when you cast a spell after Mind Flay, it'll show it up, which is kind of cool. Let's dismount if I could. Let me. Speaking of which, I actually want to re-download this because I made some changes that I don't actually like. Your eyes are so used to Passions. Yeah, it's funny whenever you switch something that you've been using for a while. Still that Lua error thing. All right, then maybe I'll worry about this later. Essentially, I removed some colors from this thing, but we'll just go without it for right now. Actually, you know what? We got 2 minutes to raid. Yeah, I love that feeling of like changing up your UI and then having to like get used to it in a new raid. I don't know, I just find it fun. It's exciting. I like changing things up like that. I mean, I really like my UI, so I'm not just gonna change it up for the hell of it, but you can see how it says like the MS. That's kind of cool. That's the new Weakaura that I have. Oh, wrong one. It's like keybind, switch a couple, or add the muscle memory. It's gone. Yeah, I mean, you're just changing what you're looking at, right? Like, But I understand what you're talking about, how your brain will just register things in different ways, or if like, you know, something is placed in a different position that you're not used to. Hey, what's up, Barry? Raid has not started yet, but hopefully should be going well. Have back-to-back Shadow Priest raids tonight. But we haven't done any raiding yet, so hopefully it goes well. We did get a Death's Verdict last night, or Death's Choice if you're Horde. So that was pretty exciting, you know. That's the one item that we're just not sure if we're going to have enough of by the time the phase ends. Oh yeah, no, Barry, I totally remember. No, I'm glad to hear that you improved. That's awesome. Oh, you got all the trinkets today? So wait, did you get a flare and a rain? Your guild still needs 3 flares. I think we have 1 main who still needs a flare. And we've been running Old War, you know, consistently since this phase started and have not seen one. Yeah, my guild, we only have 1 raid and we have seen 5 Death's Verdict. Holy shit. I think yesterday was our 4th and we do 4 raids a week. Holy shit, Reposition. That's awesome, man. Congrats. We're going to do it next year. Okay. Okay, well, because our 25th is late, we're just gonna go do an Ixia. I do need a bag. Cool. You don't need flare either. Jesus, yeah. Does someone from your guild want to come join ours and just seed all of our runs for us? Because that would be awesome. We'll pay you. You're master looting and you gave yourself Mimiron's head. Oh, that sucks. That's so sad, man. I mean, Barry, are you guys killing Yogg-Zero consistently? Because, like, at least for us, and pretty much every main character has a Mimiron's head, but I mean, we've also been killing it since week 1 of Old War, so if you guys haven't been, I can totally understand why other people would be annoyed. I mean, that's not your fault. I mean, when you're doing loot, there's so many things you're focused on. It's unfortunate. We can 15 mana next to you. Oh no, I'm layered. There's nobody else here. Oh, that was your first time? Oh, I mean, hey, well, grats on your Mim's head. I can understand why people would be annoyed then. Reposition, I'm hoping we go Horde, man. I'm trying to convince the everybody in the guild that after ICC, it's Horde time, baby. Hey, what's up, Vince? So we're gonna do an Ixia while we wait for whoever we're missing. But they dropped a portal here, but I can't see it because I'm layered with everybody. Me and Penergy. Hey, what's up, Juan? Here to learn? Well, feel free to ask questions. There's actually, I have some really cool Weakauras. Although, Juan, I think you were here yesterday. But this Mind Flay clip delay, it's in the video description on YouTube, but I'm a huge fan of it, and I think it's going to make working on your Mind Flay delay a lot of fun, actually. Might make it frustrating, too, but it's actually kind of cool. I mean, I guess while I'm waiting for a summon, might as well just go cast some Mind Flays. Where's the dummies? Oh, what's up, Sean? Yeah, no, it's sick. Like, look. So it'll tell you the MS, like if you do a 2-tick Mind Flay, if you do a 3-tick Mind Flay, it'll basically tell you how much time there was. So 826 means I like casted too early. And then if you do it like in the middle, like there, you'll see it says 545. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a lot of fun, actually. I'm going to recommend anytime I do a log review now and somebody has trouble with their Mind Flay ticks, their Mind Flay delay, I'm going to recommend this Weakaura. Yeah, so the link to it, if you check the description of the video on YouTube, it's the very bottom link. But yeah, I honestly, I just messed with this for like 20 minutes yesterday, just sitting on the dummy, casting Mind Flay. And then like if you do too early, like there with 759, like it'll let you know if you get super close to it. I'm intentionally trying to do that, but yeah, and I mean the thing is, I think it does take your ping into account. So like essentially if you have really high ping, you want to cancel your cast early because there's going to be a delay between when you cancel it and the server like registers that you canceled it, if that makes sense. So like you'd want to cancel it like, okay, maybe that's too early, but like something like that, where for me, I would actually be clipping. But for you, if you have like 200 MS, 300 MS, you'd actually be doing it perfectly. High red number means basically, yeah, I clipped like just before the tick happened. So like there means basically the way you can read it is 810 MS means you got 81% of the way to your next tick. If you're doing like a 2-tick Mind Flay, so like that means I got 70% of the way, 60% to that 3rd tick. Pants does. But yeah, like if you're not doing a 2-tick, then it's just basically 1000 MS is 1 second. I'm in combat. I need to drop combat. Bro, what kind of DPS? No, so like 100 MS is awesome. 200 is not bad. I mean, the thing is, it adds up over the course of a fight. So you can think about it as like, I don't even think 200 is necessarily that bad. I know you can improve it. Like, if you think about 200 MS versus having 100, that means you're essentially wasting 100 MS every Mind Flay cast. So if you cast 40 Mind Flays throughout a fight and you have 200 MS instead of like 100 MS, that's 100 MS for 40 Mind Flays, which essentially means that's 4000 MS or 4 seconds that you've lost. So you can think on a fight where you have 40 Mind Flay casts. If you have a 200 MS, and that could be 100 if you're just playing better, then you're essentially wasting 4 seconds of the fight when you could be casting. So I mean, that would add up to be 3 globals essentially. So probably like 20 to 30k damage over the course of a fight. But I mean, if your ping's higher than that, it's just going to be more damage that you'd be missing out on. 34, 21. This is so cool. It's going to suck when you see the big red number though. Especially like during Lust, and then I mean this is going to be super important when we get the tier 10 4-piece, because Mind Flay is going to be so much faster. So we're pretty much only going to be doing 3-tick Mind Flays, but making sure that you minimize that delay is going to be incredible. It's going to be the most important thing you're doing as a Shadow Priest in ICC to make sure you do good damage. I'll flash.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Captive Priest previous Monday, been using your videos as a guide. Hell yeah. Oh, and you're already in purple parses? Fuck yeah, man. Hey, congrats, Zen. Don't do what I'm doing here. I'm just running. We did this fight yesterday and we actually wiped because people were just dumb. I was, you know, obviously I died if we wiped. But I realize I'm going to respect this fight a little bit. Come back here, whelps. Are you using bigwigs? Knew it. I converted him. But you can see the Mind Blast saying don't use because we're benefiting from Lust. Probably had some good spell power procs too. So this Fojji UI is really nice. Will Villms edit. He's a guy from the Shadow Priest Discord. Really smart. Yeah, you're gonna focus on that number. I know it's I'm gonna try not to focus. I edited it so that I wouldn't see the colors because the colors are gonna distract me. But I think it's still worth seeing. Casual 21k DPS, you know. Man, I feel like I'm like under so much pressure now to keep my MS low. I'm gonna fear ward myself because I'm parsing on this run. I need to move. I'm gonna get tail whipped here. Not from pants. Parsing, baby. 16k. I think my best on this was like 13k or something. It's such a stupid fight. Oh no. No, come back. My parse. Human racial. Yeah, you tell him. Oh yeah, it's a very fun fight for Shadow. I mean, it's so stupid. It shows how strong Mindseer is. Mindseer, when you just have a shit ton of enemies, is one of the strongest AoEs, if not the strongest. I'm not quite sure when it comes to scaling. Judgment Hood and Judgment Crown. What is this paladin stuff? Yeah, Shadow showing up, everybody on that fight. That's, you know, that's pretty good. All right, cool. Let's go do the actual raid. Ah, shit. Oh, I didn't win the bag. I was like, I left early. A ruby. It's like 300. How's the Mind Flay delay working out? I've been showing everybody. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. And you were right. In raids, you don't see the less than 100 MS. Oh, well, thanks for hanging out, Barry. Have a good night. But yeah, got a few like 20s and 30s MS in there, you know, feeling good. And then you see like a 150 and it's like, all right, well, that's what I get for being confident. But it's awesome. I'm having a ton of fun with it. Almost didn't mute myself in time. That was a big sneeze. Just waiting on the clickbait video title. That'll probably come in a day or two. Oh god. My allergies are kicking my ass today. But yeah, I'll probably make a video soon. I love it, actually. Like, no lie. I think it's an awesome tool. Because I think a lot of people, when doing log reviews, you know, Villms, if you give me a awesome clickbaity title, I will 100% use it. So write up your best clickbait. But the thing is because I think it's actually worthy of the clickbait for any like Shadow Priest, honestly. Because I think when you talk about MS, a lot of a lot of people, especially if they're newer to the game or just like aren't super min-maxy, don't quite have an understanding of what it means to like always be casting. So I think it's an awesome tool to understand what your delay is. You're from Indonesia, your guildie's got #1 speed on TOGC 10 man on White Man Horde. That's pretty cool. I can't say we've really gone for speed outside of the progression race, but no, that's awesome. Congrats. Although if you're in Indonesia rating on White Man, that's it's got to be some crazy MS you have. Can I review your logs? Potentially. I'm gonna do some log reviews later tonight, but we have 2 raids, so probably not for about an hour and a half. Probably about in an hour and a half. But once we start the next raid after this one, I'll open up like a queue. How many 100 parses tonight? None, because I'm Alliance, so it's basically impossible to get 100 on anything as Alliance. But you know, 99s are good too. I don't have a 99 on noob on this guy though. With everybody doing the 2-minute clears, it's become really difficult to get 99s on that fight. I don't know if it's popular. Catatonic, what are you talking about? You don't know if what's popular. You're a pro on Shadow Priest, thank you. But yeah, I'll let you know when we oh, the song's annoying. I'll let you know when I open up the log review queue. Show me the way. What's up, Power Pablo? Alright, don't make fun of me if I have like super high MS on some of these, or like miss a tick or something. I'm like super self-conscious about it now. Oh, fuck. I am very close to this guy. I need to move. Oh, what's up, Crix? Wait, I don't know what night. I've like barely set up Nightbot, so I'm sorry, man. I don't know what it would have flagged you for. Just whatever the default settings are. But what's up? How's it going, man? I mean, this guy doesn't even have a ton of gear. This is my alt, man. Oh, Isaac, you're on Twitch and YouTube. Nice. You're just trolling. I guess my my Nightbot caught you then. But this is just like 5,300 gear score. Yeah, Crix is a pro like that. He knows how to multitask. I, for one, am extremely bad at that shit. I can like focus on like one thing at a time. freeze me. Hell yeah. Eat shit. So all these people over here just messing up by not moving. All right, ferocious button 7. Okay, this is actually awesome. Oh fuck, I was the wrong potion. Don't fall off. Why does it always fall off, man? I kind of fucked up that ice howl phase. Or that stun. I used the wrong potion and then I let my Shadow Word Pain fall off, so try not to do that. Ooh, 700. I just clipped that. Ah, I clipped it again. I mean, you know, for my ult, I think this is good. I mean, this guy's gear is all right. It's like fine. I've literally gotten one. I've gotten 258 items. The chest and these gloves. Everything else is from 10 man. Just don't get a ton of gear in these raids. That's my coat for not having rain yet. I've been doing crap on beasts. I mean, rain's not going to help you a ton on beasts. Actually, what's it called? This is awesome here. The haste is really good when it comes to multi-dotting. Yeah, so you're switching scale. I know people do that. I don't do that just because I'm forgetful. And if I do it on one fight, but then I want to switch back for the next fight, I'll just forget. But I do think this is really good on most fights in this raid. Like on beasts, I think it's really good. Jiraxis, it can be really good if you're timing it with the ad spawns. But like our kill is basically 2 minutes, so you only get one use of it. So I should try to remember to save it, which I probably won't, to be honest. Twins, it's probably, I don't know how twins it would compare to rain, to be honest. A noob, it could be good. Again, multi-dotting. And then obviously faction champs, it's way better than rain. Yeah, so it's actually a really sick trinket. And rain is kind of bad. Like it's great for single target, which is where Shadow needs the most help. But it's not strong enough to really make a difference. I think we got to stop refreshing the buff maybe just as he knocks us back. Well, I should have casted a Mind Flay there. That was my fault. Oh my god, where's that loss? There we go. I'll let Dragon Plague fall off. Like, it's really important to maintain your dots on Jiraxis and just, like, any target, especially when you're multi-dotting. Like, I'm not going to refresh VT because it's about to die. Am I in fire? I guess I was. Won't be a particularly great Parse, but I mean... Yeah, this fight on Shadow sucks. Like, it just feels awful. You try so hard to do good damage and you just do jack shit, to be honest. It just shows how bad our single target is. And it's like the only way to do well, you basically need to get a chunky Minds here on all the ads. So it's like, basically the worse your raid is, the better you can parse. Oh, fuck. That was a bad. Like, what I could do here is maybe that'll get value. Well. Like, that was probably a pretty good Minds here. I don't... How does... Right, I don't know how I have aggro on him. I mean, this is about my best on this guy, 11-1. Just not going to refresh dots because he's about to die. Yeah, I mean, that was my best parse on this guy. So, like, the AoE is good if you can get it, but it essentially means your raid has to ignore all the ads. Have you ICC'd? No, we're not doing any kind of private server, which I'm really sad about. Like, I played ICC on my Shadow Priest, you know, like 15 years ago. But that was the last time I did. Why isn't HG getting 8 spell steals? Because he's competing with Flaherty. I mean, you know, they're probably getting 5 each. Yeah, see, Flaherty actually had more. I mean... yeah, Crooks, dude, I'm super excited. I hate how long tier takes to get. But I'm super fucking excited. I'm like already, I have so many like videos that I'm like already like working on or planning, just talking about, you know, the rotation and how to maximize your damage. And like, so I'm sure you heard us talking about this, but this clip Weakaura, I think it's going to be huge. Like every Shadow Priest should get this. It's going to be super important. Like that's going to be, you could lose so much damage by just taking too long after each Mind Flay. But I think it's going to be awesome. I'm super excited. I'm ready to pump. I want to top all our Fire Mages and Fury Warriors on single target DPS. What Weakaura? So let me share it for you. So essentially, what it does is it shows your MS. So you see how it says 473 MS? So essentially the amount of time it takes for you to cast a spell after a Mind Flay, which you want to try to minimize, it's going to show in milliseconds how long that is. So 500 milliseconds is half a second. Oh, any rep farmers? We're not doing that shit. You know, we might help our DKs, I'm sorry. We might help our Shadowmourne people farm like the 1,000 kills, but we're not going to, that's not going to be intentionally for rep. I mean, people will get rep from that, but like, that's the only farming we'll do.
5, 4.
All right, let's blast here.
Two,
so like right here, like
1.
would highly recommend scale. Like just any other trinket is just, oh no. Oh, I opened my Weakaura, shit. I have to manually select all these targets now. That sucks. Okay, this will be fun. I like, oh, this is a pain in the ass. Don't ever do this. Wow, this without a Weakaura just sucks.
Dispel.
That's I just dotted a pet, but you know, whatever.
Focus.
You're getting my Shadow Fiend? Holy shit, this sucks. Wow, this without a Weakaura is an awful fight. I like can't tell through my frames because there's just so much shit on them. Like I just don't know my timers. Do I have a Devouring Plague up? I don't. That's a cat. Yeah, I mean, the ring is awesome. It's just, you know, we only care about progression, right? So, like, basically anything that happens after... someone else will get it. Anything that happens after progression just doesn't really matter for the guild. Like, obviously, we still care. We'll probably do, like, speed kills or something fun. But, like, you know... Week 1 is the most important week, and nobody's getting that ring before we do progression. Dude, manually targeting this sucks. I mean, I'm still at 16k, which isn't too bad. Oh, I need mana. I'm totally going here. I guess not. I mean, that was 14k without having any frames, so not bad. You blame Crix. Yeah, I blame Crix too. It's all his fault for me not having that Weakaura up. Cloak of Displacement. But yeah, Shadow and ICC is just going to fucking pump. Like, if you're somebody who tops meters or even just tops parses in your guild, you will absolutely destroy everybody once you get your 4-piece. And it's mainly a single target. I mean, it is a single target because it's Mind Flay. So it doesn't really help with like multi-dotting stuff. So like when it comes to cleave, you'll probably lose to your fire mages and fury warriors anyway. And red pallies will be really strong. But your single target will be insane. Unlike Rotface and Festergut, I forget, one of them's a single target. Sourfang, we're not really going to get cleave value, so we might not actually be that great at that fight. Oh wait, I want this one. Set my focus. There we go. But yeah, Gear Next Fades is insane. It's kind of like the same thing that happened when we went from Nax to Ulduar, just in terms of like the power level of the gear. Like, I mean, my priest went from like 10.5k on sim to 11.5k this phase, so we gained 1k DPS. Whereas next phase we sim at like 16.5, 17k. So it's a bigger gain. It's pretty much the gain from this phase gear to next phase gear is pretty much the same we had from like pre-bis until now. That's like how big the gear is. I mean, you don't need that spirit with you don't full time drop Mind Blast, you still cast it. I'm actually going to do a video on that. You'll cast it like 30 to 40% of the time. So basically, like whenever you've Lust or a Trinket proc, you're never going to cast Mind Blast. But when you're just like, when you have nothing procced, you will still cast it. It's just you're going to go through like 50-second periods where you don't, just because like you're never going to cast it in Lust. You're never going to cast it during a Trinket proc, essentially, like in full bis anyway. As you're gearing up, you'll get there. Really, the biggest increase to not casting
5, 4,
Mind Blast is
3, 2, 1.
4-piece. Oh, come on. So you can see it says like don't cast Mind Blast right now. I cast a Mind Blast anyway just because I forget. It's just I have so much muscle memory. Shit, I have to him here.
Defensive.
Oh no, it's gonna fall off. Oh, I got it. I don't know how I got that. That was super lucky. Also, don't tell me how bad my MSs are. I feel like they're really bad this fight.
Interrupt. I mean, 14.3k for having to him. Not bad. Not great. I think my best on this guy's like 15-1. So like,
I don't think I played that my best, but it wasn't the worst either. Oh yeah, thanks for the content. No problem, man. I'm glad you can catch me live. The next raid after this on my main Shadow Priest, so that'll be the fun one. Do I have a Weakaura for just the cast bar with Flay Tick? If you check the video description, I have instructions on how you can set up the Flay Tick noise. Oh, I'm sorry, just for the cast bar. There are Weakauras that use it. I use Quartz, which is an add-on. So I don't use a Weakaura for my cast bar. So I don't have one for that. Actually, I think Passion's Weakaura pack, which is the one that I use the sound for, does have a cast bar in it. Did I update Plater? No, my Plater has pretty much been the same for the entire expansion. Most classes get big. Yeah, most classes do get big DPS jumps in ICC. I mean, it's just the scaling of the gear is insane. Most classes have awesome 2 and 4 piece bonuses and, 30 item levels of gear from 258 to, I guess, 20, but like 277 and then 284 weapons is just insane. I still don't believe my Shadow Priest will be better than my Aflock. I think, I think whichever class you're better at will probably be the better one. Like, I think it'll finally be a case of, I think, especially on shorter fights, Shadow will be a lot better than Locks. Potentially. Maybe not necessarily true. I think the fact that we don't have an execute means that, like, our damage gets worse over time. So the shorter the fight is, the less time there is for our DPS to go down, if that makes sense. So basically, the shorter the fight is, so if people scale really well and we just, like, demolish ICC, which really won't happen in the beginning, I'm, like, fairly certain about that. Shadow's actually be really strong. Well, once fights do get shorter.
3, 2, 1.
All right, let's go. I should have saved my trinkets. That was stupid. I should have saved them for the... I literally just talked about this with Crix. Like, if you save scale for the ads, which I did not do, because I'm an idiot. Oh, come on, give us good positioning. That looks really good. Oh, that's perfect.
Interrupt.
So I'm already at 219k. The thing is, though, in this fight, like, if you're not doing a 2-minute fight, like, I already know for Unholy DKs, if you're not doing a 2-minute fight and skipping phase 2, you can't get a 99.
Focus.
I waited a little long.
Ads.
Submerge in 3. Alright, cool. Clean fight so far. Did we people die? I wasn't paying attention. I wonder if we're on track for Immortal. I have no idea. It's my problem about when I start talking in chat a lot. I like don't pay attention to what happens in the raid. I mean, it's not a problem. It's fine. I always enjoy good conversation.
Focus.
Yeah, 13.8k. Oh, fuck. My bad. Ah, shit. So we were immortal until that just happened. I fucked up. I just zoned out for a second. Well, fuck. I ripped immortal for us. I'm an asshole. Now I don't even have mana to cast my spells. I'm just gonna sit and disperse. Shame. Shame on me.
Interrupt.
Yeah, I'm not going to be everybody's biggest, or... I fucked up. I mean, I can't stay down because I still have an important job to do as healing the raid.
Focus.
But I understand what you're saying. Ah, man. I just didn't even see the spikes. By the time I did, it was just too late. I tried moving. I should have hit disperse. But my brain just didn't process it fast enough. I'm like so used to nothing in this raid actually killing you that I just don't perceive as anything as being a threat. Yeah, that's my bad. Yeah, my bad about that. That would have been our second mount too. I got one on my main already. Jaina's Radiance, Blade of Unbroken Covenant. That's some good loot though. Yeah, I sacrificed myself for good loot. Yeah, I'm kind of an asshole. Unintentionally. I feel bad. I do legitimately feel bad about that. Because there's a lot of mains in here that don't have that mount, obviously. But okay, so we're gonna do a quick like 5-10 minute break for loot. I wish a noob's ring. Yeah, I'm not even gonna get a noob's ring on my main, to be honest. I think it's actually, is it decent for this guy? Actually, no, because I have Firestorm. Chalice of Steering Light is an upgrade. But while we do loot, I'll just put on like a bottom mine. And then after that, we'll just see how much time is left. Maybe we can start on a log review. But then next raid is main Shadow Priest. So that'll be fun. And I promise I won't die to stupid shit. That was my fault. I don't think I want this ring. Trying to think of how I would even use it. But all right, I'll be back in a little bit. Let me get this all set up. I'll be back. It'll be like 5 to 10 minutes. Loot's been going super fast recently. So let me turn music off. But yeah, we'll maybe do a log review and then what's it called? Something else. That second raid. Yep. My brains work, I promise. Let me. All right, be right back, guys. What's up, everybody? Let's talk about gearing in ICC as a Shadow Priest. Now, even though there's been no official word on the release date of the tier, we're hoping it'll be around the end of September, beginning of October, and it's never too early to talk about loot because the loot this tier is extremely spicy. Now, if you do enjoy this content, please consider giving me a like and subscribe, as a lot of my viewers are not actually subscribed, and I would really appreciate it if you were. Without further ado, let's get into it. But before we actually talk about the gear, I want to talk about how we get tier this phase, because unfortunately it's different than how we got tier 9, which was different than how we got tier 8. So there are 3 item levels of tier to start with: 251, 264, and 277. Now you have to use badges to buy the first tier at 251. From there you can upgrade, but you just need tokens from the raid. You no longer need badges. So to upgrade from 251 to 264, requires a token that you get from 10-man heroic or 25-man normal mode in ICC. Now to go from 264 to 277, you have to get a token that drops from 25-man heroic ICC. You cannot, unfortunately, go from 251 to 277. You have to do the intermediate step at 264. Now, if you're lucky enough, you might be able to get some of these tokens or some of these tier pieces rather, from Vault of Archivon, because there I believe you can get the pants or the gloves at 251 item level in 10 man or 264 in 25 man. So that'll help your gearing a lot. You'll be able to get your tier a lot faster because the tier pieces are pretty expensive. It'll probably take 3 to 4 weeks to get your 4 piece depending on which pieces you're going for. And you're gonna be wanting to get it fast because the tier 10 bonus for Shadow Priest is awesome. Not the 2 piece so much, but the 4 piece is incredibly strong. Now that's actually something that I want to talk about because of how strong the 4 piece is, it actually lends itself to give us a different talent setup than what we're used to. So I'm going to go over to the talent setup here, and you can see this is the standard Shadow Priest setup that we've used for pretty much this entire expansion. Now, when I click on this tier 10 button, you're going to see that the talents change a bit. We lose 5 points in Improved Mind Blast, we lose Dispersion, and we lose 5 points in Twisted Faith and 2 in Pain and Suffering. Now we're putting all of those into the disc tree, so we're reducing the mana cost of our instant cast spells, which doesn't really matter. We're increasing our total intellect by 15%, which is fine. It gives us some crit, but it doesn't really matter. But what we are doing that does matter is increasing our damage by 4% and then increasing our spirit and haste by 4%. So when I sim this, and this sim that I have right here, it was done using the standard talent setup. You can see I'm getting 230, 240 DPS on a 2.5 minute fight. So this setting is with 150 second duration. And you can see that this is simming pretty well. Now there are 2 major downsides to this. One is not having Dispersion. So on any fight where you're taking a lot of damage and you want to be able to use Dispersion to be safe, it might be better to use the standard talent setup if that's something that's going to help you live when you otherwise wouldn't. And then number 2 is the fact that we have only 1 out of 3 points in Pain and Suffering. This means that our Mind Flay only has a 33% chance to refresh our Shadow Word Pain. Now, our Mind Flay does cast faster with the tier 10 4 piece, so those 2 balance out slightly, so we have more opportunities to refresh in that same window. But if you're multi-dotting, then this is going to be a really big pain in order to maintain your Shadow Word Pain on multiple targets. Now, I haven't done ICC in about 15 years, so it's really hard for me to remember what fights were good for multi-dotting and which ones weren't. But after PTR testing comes out, if there are a lot of fights with multi-dotting, it might just make more sense to use the standard talent setup in order to have a 100% chance to refresh. But obviously that's something that we won't know until the raid is actually here. But I did want to put that out there because of this. This talent setup does sim really well and is probably what top parsing Shadow Priest will be using next phase. Now, one other thing that I want to say about why this is so strong is because Twisted Faith, what this does is it makes 20% of our spirit turn into spell power. But a lot of the gear in this next phase doesn't actually have spirit on it. Just doing a quick scan of the items, this is crit haste spell power, crit haste spell power. You can see there's a lot of crit haste spell power or crit hit spell power or haste hit spell power. There's not a whole lot of spirit this phase, which means that this talent Twisted Faith loses a lot of value anyway. So it does make sense to go in here because we're not getting as much value from spirit as we were before with our gear. Now let's talk about the actual gear. So I mentioned we have our 4-piece tier, and those are going to be on the head, shoulders, chest, and gloves. Now there is another set that I'll talk about in a little bit where we swap the glove set with the pants, but these 2 sets are our BIS simming sets, and the other set is really only applicable if you're Alliance. So the other item that pretty much everybody's going to have is the Ashen Band of Endless Destruction. So this is the same thing as the Mount Hydril ring or the Karazhan ring. It is a rep ring that gets increasingly stronger as you get more rep with the Ashen Verdict, which you increase your rep by killing enemies in Icecrown Citadel. Now eventually when you get exalted, you get a nice proc onto it similar to the Hydril ring. But this has hit, haste, and spell power, so it's going to be a nice source of hit for every single caster, which means since this has hit, it's one less reason to take hit on gear. Now, throughout this entire set, the only items that aren't tier that have hit on them outside of this ring are the Plaguebringer Stained Pants is hit haste spell power, and then the Lady's Brittle Bracers crit hit spell power. Every single other item is haste, crit, and spell power. So these stats are optimal for us because Spirit just really wasn't that good to begin with. Now I mentioned that this is the BIS Horde setup, and this is at 18% hit because I'm currently in my Alliance setup. So obviously if you're a troll, you'd sim higher than this. I just have 1% extra hit from being Alliance. Now, if I select this alternative set, the only thing that changes is that the tier pants, or the pants now become tier pants, and we're using the gunship captain's mittens. So again, I simmed this using the previous set that I showed. And now when I sim this set, it's basically right around the same. I've simmed this and it's been below the other set. I've simmed it and it's been higher. So they're pretty much right in the same ballpark. But now my hit is 17.8%, or if you were a troll, this would be 16.8%. So if you're horde, I wouldn't recommend this set necessarily because you'll be 0.2% under the hit cap. But if Plaguebringer's stained pants end up being really contested and the gunship's captain mittens aren't, this could be a good alternative for anybody who doesn't mind, using a veiled gem if you're horde, or just for any alliance player. Now, because of the way items are statted, there really isn't another set that you want. Talking about a BIS 25-man heroic setup. Every item is pretty much set in stone outside of the pants and the gloves, just because everything is optimally statted and there aren't a ton of options at 277 item level. So most items have one or two other pieces, and a lot of times it's like crit spirit spell power. Obviously you don't want that, or like a crit hit spell power. And if we don't need hit, then that option's kind of bad. So it's really hard to find different sets like we could with TOGC, because TOGC had a lot more options of items at 258 item level. Now, the other thing to talk about is trinkets. These two trinkets are incredibly strong and are going to be wanted by every single caster. Now, if you had to prioritize one of them, that would be Phylactery of the Nameless Lich. This thing is so strong. It's a juiced up flare that not only has more critical strike rating on the normal equip bonus, but if you read the proc description, it says each time one of your spells deals periodic damage, you have a chance to gain 1207 spell power for 20 seconds. So not only is the proc stronger than the amount of spell power we get from flare, it procs off of periodic damage at a 30% chance. So if that tooltip is right, this thing is going to proc on cooldown almost immediately for every single Shadow Priest, because you're going to have 3 dots ticking on single target and a lot more on multi-target, which means, have you ever been in a fight and your flare just didn't proc during Lust, or you had like 30-40 seconds left in a fight and it just didn't proc at all during that time, even though it was off cooldown? Yeah, happened to me too. So hopefully that should never happen with this trinket. It's going to be incredibly strong and is a lot stronger than Dislodged for an object, though this is still incredible. Now, the thing to say about all of this gear is if you're not a heroic raider, you basically want all the same items, just at 264 item level instead of 277. So 264 is what you get out of normal 25-man and heroic 10-man, but if you're not doing heroic 25-man, I don't know if you're going to be doing heroic 10-man. Obviously, no idea how hard the 10-mans are going to be. If you're just doing normal, then you basically want all the same gear. The only difference is that you are going to be lacking a little bit of hit. So what I'd recommend then is replacing the Ring of Rapid Ascent with Valinar's other signet ring. So essentially you're going from crit haste spell power to a hit haste spell power ring. That's the only difference. Every other item is the same, including the trinkets at 264 item level. Even at 264 item level, these are both better than Reign of the Dead and Flare of the Heavens at their respective item levels. So that's the gear and the two different sets that we have. Now, the other thing to talk about are weapons. So the Lich King drops weapons at 7 item levels higher than every other boss. So you're going to want to get your weapon from the Lich King weapons. Now, as you can see, we have the one-handed mace here and an offhand. The staff is pretty bad, and unfortunately, how I was talking about we don't want spirit is statted with having spirit, haste, and spell power. So it makes it kind of unfortunate if you want to use it. It's not bad, but you do lose about 200 DPS, I believe, by using that instead of a one-hand and an offhand. So you definitely want to go for the one-hand and the offhand if you can. So this should just be between you, your Boomkin, your Ellie Shaman, and best player gets it. I can't tell you which one it's better for. I think sims are going to be changing over the next month or two, and even after the raid releases. So it's really hard to say who deserves which item. And now the only other thing to talk about is 10-man. Now, unfortunately, if you are a 10-man gamer only, you are going to still have a mix of Ulduar and TOGC loot in your BIS list. This is because 10-man ICC drops loot at 251 item level, and heroic is 264 with weapons from Lich King being 271. So even at that 264 item level, you're still gonna want a flare as your trinket, for example. There is Muradin Spyglass, which is a really strong trinket. It's essentially illustration of the Dragon Soul with 152 crit rating on it. But there's not really another good trinket outside of that. So your BIS setup would have this and flare as your 2 trinkets. So I'm not really gonna talk about 10-man gear here. I can try to put together a 10-man BIS list if you're interested. Okay, so we talked about all the loot in the phase. Final thing to talk about is what do we want to prioritize when the phase comes out? So the first thing, the most important thing is getting your 4-piece tier bonus. Now, you can't really prioritize tier because you just need your badges to buy it. You can't actually, like the tokens don't allow you to buy tier if you don't have it. It only allows you to upgrade your pieces. So you're not actually going to be prioritizing tier, but you as a person should make sure that you're doing your daily heroic every day. You're doing your Vaults of Archivon every week. You are doing everything you can to get as many badges and as many opportunities for this tier as possible. So that's number 1, and doesn't affect loot prio, but it's just something to make sure that you know. Secondly, the most important item to get is Phylactery of the Nameless Lich. This is the single strongest item as a singular upgrade next phase. I'm gonna go back to this is my current gear on live right now. And I just wanna sim myself. And then I'm gonna replace Rain because Rain's a little bit worse than Flare with this trinket. So Phylactery, if I could spell. And you can see it's about 500 DPS upgrade over, so 460. So it is incredibly strong. But the thing is, it's incredibly contested too. Every single caster is going to want this item. Now, if I put dislodge for an object in here, it's still really good. It's just not quite as good as Phylactery. So this is a 300 DPS upgrade. And over Flare, it's probably closer to a 200 to 250 DPS upgrade. So you definitely want to prioritize Phylactery because this is not only incredibly strong, but it's also going to be incredibly contested. Now, going back to my current gear, the next item that you want to prioritize is going to be the one-hander. So the Royal Scepter of Tyrannus II. So this is also going to be about a 500 DPS upgrade over current gear. Now, this is not as contested, similar to the mace of this phase, if that's what you went for. This is going to be wanted by your boomies, by your elemental shamans. Some healers might want it, but they have val'kyr, so screw them. You should get this over them. If any healer is getting this item over you, you should find a new guild. But when it comes to you versus your Ellie Shaman or your Boomkin in your raid, hopefully it goes to the better player and hopefully that's you. So after you prioritize Phylactery and the weapon, your third item can be a little bit of a choose your own adventure. I think the single strongest standalone item would probably be dislodge for an object, but that's still going to be really contested. And if it's third on your list, that might be the same as it being 5th on your list, just depending if everybody's putting it at number 1 or if your other casters are putting it at number 1. So this is kind of going to be where you need to evaluate your own guild and your own needs depending on your gear. Like if you don't have a flare, obviously the upgrade to dislodge for an object is going to be a lot stronger than if you do. So if you really need hit, you could take a look at which set you're going to be using, whether it's going to be using tier pants or it's going to be using tier gloves. And you could look at the off piece and see how contested that's going to be. I would basically try to choose the least contested off piece because that piece is going to be pretty minor compared to getting other upgrades faster. So if you can choose the less contested off piece, and even if you're horde, you can go with this set. You'll just have to use a veiled gem, which is not ideal. You'll probably be losing about 20 DPS, but 20 DPS when we're talking about 16K is really, really meaningless. So it's something to think about where what do you want to prioritize depending on your own gear? And this is where I think the common phrase sim it really comes into play. So I would highly recommend you take some time to sim your gear, see what's the best for you and see what's the least contested. Try to see if you can organize with the other casters in your guild. I would highly recommend just trying to make sure that you guys can find a balance of what gear you want and what gear they want and try not to overlap too much. Now that might be easier said than done. I don't know what your loot situation is like, but hopefully it's a friendly environment where everybody gets gear, which again, I know is not always the case. Anyway, that's all for this video. If there's anything you think I didn't cover, let me know and I'll make another video on it or I'll make some additions. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that this is as accurate as it can be. Anyway, that's all for this video. My name's Panspace and I'll see you in the next one. Your mind seer didn't do that. It did 2k DPS. Your Mind Flay did less, but
All right, so we're just finishing up some talking about
I don't think you
like
should have Mind
future
Flay
raids and
here yet.
stuff.
Like I think you put Vampiric Touch on the 3 adds, and then you go back to Jiraxxus. So you can see there's a little dip here in Jiraxxus as well. I would just, dot the adds. You kill the volcano, you dot the adds, and you go back to Jiraxxus. I think that's the important thing here. So I think you're spending a little bit too much time casting spells onto the adds that you shouldn't be, because they're not going to have all the debuffs. They're going to be taking less damage. They're going to die sooner, which means your dots don't get full value. But you want to make sure that, like, the Mistress of Pain, you're getting Shadow Word Pain value there. Yeah, so on here, all you want to see is Vampiric Touch, Shadow Word Pain, and then a single Mind Flay when you're refreshing Shadow Word Pain. That's it. And like your Jiraxxus damage itself isn't that much lower than mine. Like you're around 10k essentially. Kind of you go above at some points, kind of go below. And like I'm also around 10k. So like your Jiraxxus damage itself is fine. Hold on one second. But yeah, so I think really for you it's just maximizing your damage on adds. That's the important thing here. Does that all make sense? Any other questions on that? Go here. Okay, cool. All right, Rakan, are you still here? I can take a look at your logs now too. Yeah, no problem, John. Happy to help. Good luck parsing next week. The thing is, this raid, so much of it has to do with like how ads are positioned, how long they live for. There's a lot of things dependent on your raid that's going to influence the decisions you make. So that's why logs are kind of hard. They don't tell the whole story. All right, Rakan. Oh, there you are. Hard to get an accurate picture. Hey, Rakan, I can check out your logs now if you still want me to. Oh, yeah, I would totally. If you guys ever, like, if we're doing this, if you have VODs of your gameplay, I would totally prefer to look at that. Because it comes down to the decisions you're making. Like, you might be making, like, you might be making the right decision based on your raid, whereas I'm trying to look at based like logs. I'm using my raid's knowledge on how the fight plays out. All right, Rakan, what's your character? If I do more after Rakan, it would be Barry, then you hit. I don't know if I'll do more after Rakan. I might go hop into D4 with some guildies, but I don't think they've started playing yet. That'll kind of be what dictates how long I do logs for. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Rakan, I'm not gonna like make fun of you or anything. Sauce X, I like it. I dig the sauce. Okay, yeah, no worries. I mean, you've done the raid once, right? And like your gear is, as you said, I mean, you're definitely a more casual player. I'm gonna do North Run Beasts. Got it. Okay, so this is from 4 days ago, so this should be a good log to use. I think first of all, I want to look at your gear, especially since you are casual. before we even talk, because I think, okay, so you have the same problem. You don't want to use a nightmare tier ever, and you don't want to use intricate Eye of Zul. So anytime you're using a blue gem, you want it to be, or anytime, yeah, you're using a blue gem ever, you want it to be a purified dreadstone. The 12 spell power and 10 spirit is going to be better than haste and spirit, and nightmare tier barely gives us any damage at all. So you want to make sure you're not using, that was what the sim recommended. You might want to check out your, yeah, Lucas, I probably am. I'd say, Lucas, I'm probably doing log reviews for like another 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know how long they'll take. But I have...
Sorry, we're having a longer discussion in Discord than I expected.
I have 2 people in line after Rakan.
Might just be another...
Okay, so that's one thing.
Might just be until the next
but
raid that I'm
them.
AFK. Sorry about that, guys.
Hit rating 302. You have Zabras, so you're Horde. 302 is fine. You're like a little bit over hit cap. I would say if you have a yellow hit gem to change it, but I don't think you do. Okay, so let's look at your actual gear. Do you heal at all? Because you definitely don't want to be using anything with MP5 on it. So if you're like, if you don't main a healer, gear is outdated. Do you have, I don't know if you can send it to me over Discord. So if you have a sim, or if you have like, if you have the add-on WoW Sims exporter, you could do a generate data and then send me this. Send it to me over Discord. So my Discord name is pants.face. But you can send me this link, or you can send me your actual like sim link, whatever works. Let me pull Discord over here. What is this playlist? Yeah, no worries. Wait, where'd that just go? Yeah, I think other than that though, like if this isn't your actual gear, even if this was your actual gear, I think everything else looks pretty much fine. Like you can get better options, obviously, but that's gonna, you got to work for them. Oh, you finally got a flare, Lucas? That's awesome. Congrats, man. How, what did you replace? Flare's huge. It's so good. Okay, cool. All right, imports, add-on. Save this as your set. Okay, cool. Okay, so let's save this as a reference. All right, so changes. Gems. So purified. consoles. So in these single blue slots, oh, actually, wait. So you don't want to be using a red or a blue gem here. You want to use a red. In the single blue slots where they have like 5 spell power, you just want to be putting in a red gem because it's not really worth it to go for the Sokka bonus. If blues are significantly cheaper for you and money's a problem, then you can just go with the blue. It's like not like a very few amount of DPS that you'd be losing. So like you can see these gems give you an extra 11 DPS. So not huge. This ring, so Starshine Signet. There's a lot that you can replace this with. I think it just kind of depends what content you're doing. You already have a Nebula Band. Like, I think even this from, which would be pretty easy to get from Onyxia 25 would be an upgrade. Oh, you have Soft Lament. Okay, that's a good one. Cool. So here, same thing, use a red gem. Yeah, Soft Lament's definitely an upgrade. You'll see here. Not huge, but...
All right, sorry about that.
So gems and this gives you about 30.
Here, let me swap this over. Sorry, we were just talking a lot in officer chat, so apologies about that. We finished loot actually really fast. Let me swap this back to here. But next raid is in 3 minutes. Did you miss the Poompage? You missed the alt raid, so technically no. There wasn't a lot of Poompage going on. Am I raiding? Yes, I am. So we just did on the alt priest. The next one. The next one is in 4 minutes on my main Shadow Priest. So this is the fun raid coming up. The last one was just like a warm up. I fucked up though. I died. We had an 50 out of 50 immortal run going, and I died to spikes on a noob just not paying attention. I was running and I thought I was gonna be out of the spikes before the second spike hit me, but I wasn't. So I should have dispersed, and I didn't, and I was dumb. And I ruined everybody in the raid getting them out because that was the only death the entire run. So I fucked up. Yeah. One second. Saw that Jirax's fire doesn't count on immortality. Eeper, oh yeah, Eeper did fucked up the GDKPs in immortal. I remember that run. Jirax's fire doesn't count on immortality, so you can die to the fire. They got 2 deaths to Jirax's fire and still got them out. That's stupid. It's probably some weird coding with. No, actually, I don't know, because if you die, you die, right? How would dying to the fire prevent it? I don't know, but I mean, hey, that's good for them, I guess. That's really annoying for us. But the thing was, like, I was running out of it. Like, I saw it the last second. I basically saw it as I got hit by the first spike, and I was running, and I thought it wasn't going to hit me. So, you know, it is what it is. 1 second, I need to get my screens back. Where's Discord? Hop down channels. But yeah, I should have 2 of these mounts now. All right, but next raid coming up should be fun. Sorry. Was using your Weakaura UI. What does the percent under Shadowed Pain means? That means basically if it's red, that means that the shadow word pane you have on the target is stronger than if you were to recast it in this moment. If it's green, that means you could recast your shadow word pane and it would be stronger than the one on your target. And the number is just how much. So if it's green and says 20%, then that means you could gain 20% on your shadow word pane by recasting it. So I would say you probably don't want to reapply unless it's like plus like 40 or 50%. Like basically, even if it's like 3, 6, 90%, it's probably not worth reapplying. Shadow word pane is such a weak spell that even like an extra 10% on it doesn't really matter, honestly. So let me log over. What Weakaura is that? It's part of my Shadow Priest like UI. It's part of Fojji's anyway. All right, we are full. That's the Weakaura you linked for. No. I can't share the specific part of it, Daniel. If you go to my YouTube stream, actually, in the video description of my YouTube stream, I have like a lot of different Weakauras that I use. So I have this. So this is a specific edit of Fojji's UI that Villms made for me. I mean, you can just use Fojji's UI too, but essentially on your Shadow Word pane, it'll tell you when you can. I'll intentionally cast a weak Shadow Word pane and you can see the buff, or I'll like point it out when it. Flare is 175 and rain is 160. I mean, it depends on your gear and stuff. Your sim, you know, everybody's sim has different settings. I think for me, they're about 40 or 50 DPS apart when I've simmed. So I don't know. It could be right. Maybe your settings might be a little bit different than mine. Yeah, only reapply if it's a high green number. Basically, I'd say if it's more than 20% and green, that's probably where it might be worth it. But it also depends how long the enemy's going to live for. If you do it and the enemy's going to live for like 20 seconds, doesn't matter. But if it's going to be 2 minutes, then yeah, that would make a lot of sense to do. All right, let's get my buffs on. Get a flask. We are ready. Let's try not to die like an asshole this time. I feel so bad about that. Yeah, you can get the adjusted Fojji Weakaura from YouTube. So just the description of this stream or any of my past streams, or at least most of my past streams. I kind of update it as I go with like more useful information. And then I have this fun one, Mind Flay clip delay that we've been having fun with today. So hopefully this error goes away and it works. All right, this will be the fun raid. Try to parse.
Welcome, champion. You have heard the call of the Argent Crusade, and you have boldly answered. It is here, in the Crusaders' Colosseum, that you will face your greatest challenges. Those of you who survive the rigors of the Colosseum will join the Argent Crusade on its march to Ice-Crown Citadel.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad my YouTube videos have been helping you. More are coming for ICC, so don't worry. I have a few in the works right now. Hopefully get them out in the next few days. I'm going to try this. I've never tried to pre-pot on this fight. I think I'll have like 3 seconds of it, but I mean, 3 seconds is better than nothing, right? So, we'll see. I literally got it for 2 casts. Okay, that bomb is not on me. Weakaura, you can F off. Fuck. Nope, that bomb's coming to me. Not doing the best with my dots right now. Oh, that was the wrong target. That one snowballed actually helps my damage a lot. Oh no. Fuck. Oh no, the snowball's on me. I missed some damage by killing the snowball, but I mean, I am chilling right now. Or cranking, rather. Oh, that had 1 HP. Alright, great Parse so far. Nice, nice. Oh, this is gonna suck. I want to try to get over to this side here. Oh, nice. All right, dodged one. All right, ferocious butt coming out. Oh, I got a bot for the first time. This is sick. I'm cheating a little bit here. Not actually cheating, but. I kind of fucked up my cast sequence there. Nice. Not frozen. Frozen at the last second. All right, that was sick. Damn. Yeah, that was some sick RNG. Why did he stop in the middle? He stopped in the middle because so you see how I got bopped and I didn't get stunned there? If that happens, if he doesn't get if he targets somebody who doesn't get stunned, so that'll be a mage who ice blocks, anybody who gets bopped, or a rogue who vanishes, then anytime he targets one of those players, he'll stop in the middle there. Gives him. Yeah, it's basically the luck of the draw. How do you increase a ticking sound? I don't know, Ken. Sorry, I've never actually tried to do that. You might need to just find a different sound that's a little bit louder. Well, no, you still need to make sure he doesn't hit you. Like, you still need to move from your spot if you're one of those people. You just need to make sure that, like, if I was right here when I got bopped, essentially. So if I had moved, he basically would have stopped right on this spot. If he had targeted me. When you're going to the worm phase, you always devouring plague over Shadow Word Pain? Yes. Shadow Word Pain is our lowest value dot, so it's the last thing you want to cast. You want to get Vampiric Touch on every single target that's alive and Devouring Plague on one target. You want to spread VT out to everything before you cast Shadow Word Pain. Yeah, but no, mages, you're not ice blocking the charge, you're ice blocking the stun. Oh, fuck. I was typing. Oh my god. I did not realize the time. Thank god somebody called that out. Oh, that was bad, but... I was not ready to start this fight. See, look at this. My damage is crushing it. Just need the fight to last like 10 seconds. Oh, we got 2. Parse day, baby. We got 2 mistresses, huh? So like here I fucked up. I'm prioritizing refreshing Vampiric Touch before I refresh Shadow Word Pain. It's just the more important spell to have up. Might be a good Parse. Oh shit, I should have recast it.
Run away.
Yeah, I'm gonna barely move for this shit. So like I just bunched all the fire up there because like mechanics aren't deadly here. Oh no. Oh my god. Okay, that was wild. We have so many ads. Oh my god, 12.7k, Jesus. That was just an AoE fiesta. You don't understand, Daniel? I'll explain it one more in a second. Holy shit. That was the most damage I've ever done on this fight by like an extra 1.2k. That was wild. We got so many ads. Can we get a mage table? Do I Shadow Word Pain the portals? I do. Sometimes it's worth it, sometimes it's not. No, that was 1 point. So you see my 12.7k parse here. My best parse before was like 11.5 on this. So this was 1.2k extra DPS. Just with all the Mind Searing and Vampiric Touch that I got off. That was wild. We had so many ads. I'll probably never top that parse the entire phase, to be honest. Yeah. Or no, sorry, my best was 11.9. Okay, I lied. I forgot I did on 11.9. So it was about 800 DPS higher than my best. And then for here, I'm going to swap to scale. Scale's just going to be better here with how many dots I'm throwing up. And I want to do Glyph of Shadow Word Pain. Because I'm going to run out of mana super fast. Yeah, that was some pure pumping right there. Just taking full advantage of the AoE. This is gonna be a sick parse if I don't fuck up the rest of the raid. Like an overall raid parse. But I was... That's not there. That was our full timer 5.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So like having this Weakaura makes multi-dotting here, oh, so much easier. Like having to manually dot everything before was a nightmare. Oh my god.
Focus.
Dispel.
So hard to keep dots up on everything. And I'm only casting Mind Blast to refresh replenishment. Not because it's actually worth doing for mana. It's just, or I'm sorry, for,
Focus.
I'm only doing it for mana, not for damage.
Focus.
Where's this hunter at? He's like out of range.
Dispel.
Oh, there's a mage. Of course there is.
Dispel.
Oh, that was bad. Casual 16.8k damage. Yeah, that was a shit ton of damage. Callous Aggression, that's nice. Morning Widow, also nice. Cool, cool. Whatever you do, don't open the Weakauras. Yeah, I know. That messed me up last time. All right, let's put on Mind Seer before I forget. Glyph of Shadow Word Pain does a lot there to restore mana. Like, how many ticks did I have of Shadow Word Pain? 118, each restoring 40 mana. Is what, like 4,000...
Focus.
18 times 40. So like 4,500, 4,600 mana. What was the Weakaura that shows the targets? It's my guild's Weakaura pack. So it's in the video description on YouTube, but that's where I like put all my Weakauras and stuff. But if you're Alliance, or I'm sorry, if you're Horde, it's not going to work for you. It only works for Alliance. Oh, right. Yeah, that's what Undereducated Voter said. So you don't Mind Seer on that fight because they take 75% less damage from AoE. So your Mind Seer would do really bad damage. Set focus. Oh, you're right. Set focus. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So if you're Alliance, go into find my YouTube stream in the video description. Look for the TOGC Weakaura pack from Welcome. And then that'll pop up for you when you get to that fight. Just make sure you don't open your Weakauras. Like if you type /WA, when these Weakauras are up, they'll disappear and they won't come back for the fight. So that's one limitation of it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh. One of our mages just said he put all of his CDs into the wrong mob.
Interrupt. Defensive.
Alright. Oh shit. Fuck. Alright, I didn't him. I fucked up. I lost track of my mouse when I was... I was like moving my mouse down and lost track of it. So I was selfish there. I could have spent more time figuring out where my mouse was to him. I should have himmed. That was my bad. Chalice. Oh, it's always this one. We never get the hit one. But I mean, that was my best Parse, 16.9k. That was my best was 16.1, so don't feel too bad. I feel a little bad. All right, I'm gonna reload to get rid of these Weakauras on my screen. Yeah, that was huge. I mean, I do feel bad because at the end of the day, the safety of the raid's more important than my own personal Parse. It's just the only thing I will say is we've been crushing these fights, and we've gotten so much gear that I don't think it's necessary at this point. Although that's something I'd want to talk with the other officers about not doing before I actually just do it. But I straight up did just lose my mouse, and it would have taken me another second or two to find my mouse and click this, and I would have lost like a lot of damage. So I was selfish by not doing it, because it wasn't as just like sliding my mouse down and clicking this. It was going to take me a second or two to find my mouse. You use Thames Weakaura for TOGC. I don't know if it'll bug. I've never used Thames. What you can do though is come into, so download the pack, and then you can just find like the faction champs one, which is right here. You can delete everything else if you don't want it. And this way you'll just have this. So that's what I would do if you want to keep using Thames, or you can just use my guilds. I like my guilds, but obviously I've never used Thames, so I don't know how much better or different one is over the other. Yeah, no one died. We already had somebody die. So again, also that's why I don't feel too bad about it. We already had somebody die. This is a good Parse rate so far. This is best Parse on every fight so far, actually. I'm assuming on Beast, because I don't actually know. And we're not live logging, so I can't check. But I'm feeling good about it. Parse run, baby. Maybe add him. Oh, that's actually a good call. I could, well, no. It doesn't work that way. Because these spells cast on the focus target. So I don't know how it would... It might work. I don't know. I've only edited Weakauras. I didn't create them. So I'd have to ask the guy who created them if that would work. Fojji Bis. I mean, yeah, Fojis are probably really good. I'm not paying for that, so that's all.
1.
Oh, fuck, I just sappered. But whatever. Oh, I haven't been using bombs either, because oh, man. Could have been doing even more damage.
Interrupt.
Doesn't quite reach him, unfortunately. Pretty bad mind sears. Yeah, my damage is a lot lower than it was on my other priest, unfortunately.
Focus.
So hopefully we get better positioning here. All right, let's not die here. Oh god. Very close to... All right, flare proc right now is not the worst. Did I glyph? I did glyph. Yeah, the ads were just slightly outside of my mind seer range, unfortunately.
Focus.
This is where I actually saw ahead of time that it was going to come to where I was. Disperse for mana. I don't really need it. I could save it to save myself, but I don't think I'll need to. I never really need to use it. Oh, that's interesting. Wasn't expecting to get tricks there. That cat noise was me getting tricks, by the way. I have it very obvious when I get tricks.
Interrupt.
Focus.
Not a great parse on this fight, unfortunately.
Ads.
But I think everything else makes up for it, so.
Interrupt.
All right, I mean, cool. Oh wow, we got some good caster loot this raid. Your dog's ears perked up. I think the play is to VT the ads instead of Mind Seer. No, you at least for the way my raid does it, I need to Mind Seer a bit. It's just the ads were a little bit outside of the range. Like they were very close to it. They were like if our tank took one step closer to the center of a noob. Cool, but that was a sick raid. Outside of a noob, those were all best parses by far. So that should be a pretty sick like overall alliance ranking. Although the dude is a top alliance ranking does have a 2-minute anub because they skip phase 2. So I don't know if I can beat that one, but it's at least second overall for Shadow Priest for alliance anyway. Yeah, they are wiping quite a bit. All right, cool. So we're gonna do loot, and then we can. Do I already have cord? I already have cord, and then we can do log reviews after. So this Conqueror is this. Wow, 3 Conqueror. Holy shit. One of those armbands, bis. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, so I'll do log reviews. Hey, I have a question about Aurora Transcendence. It says on your loot sheet that it's the most performing helm. Yeah, so if you're using that helm, then you just want your 4-piece tier 9 to be everything else, the other slots. If you can get 4-piece 4, or I'm sorry, if you're getting 258s, or if you're doing a 2-piece 2-piece setup, then I'm not quite sure what the 2-piece 2-piece setup would look like. It would probably be Conqueror gloves because I think or it would probably be tier 8 gloves because I think the tier 9 gloves have, have hit on them. So you'd probably go tier 9 pants, tier 9 chest, tier 8 shoulders, tier 8 gloves, and then that helm. Okay, let me get you guys set up with another video real quick, and then I'll be back in like 5-10 minutes, and we can do some log reviews. And hopefully I have some loot to go with it. But thanks for hanging out. This was a fun raid. All right, let's hold on. Yeah, great loot. Let's just do. This is a good one.
What's up,
All right, I'll be right back,
everybody?
guys.
With TOGC coming out soon and ICC on the horizon, I thought it'd be a good time to go through some things that everybody can do to become a better player in World of Warcraft. With Warcraft logs, players are constantly comparing themselves to each other, so let's talk about what you can do to help separate yourself from the pack and consistently earn those 99 parses. First up, let's start off with what I like to call your ABCs, or always be casting. Now this one is exactly what it sounds like. You always want to be casting a spell that deals damage to the boss, but it's more than that. When the boss is pulled, you want to make sure that you're casting a spell that lands when the pull timer hits 0. If you're moving, then make sure you're casting a spell on the move. Even though you might not be performing your optimal rotation on the move, you always want to be doing as much damage as possible, so make sure that you know what abilities are best used on the move for your class. Make sure that you're always casting a spell immediately after another one. So if you're casting like a Shadow Bolt, you can queue a spell into that and it'll cast instantly. This is done using the spell queue window, which is a default setting that exists within World of Warcraft. You can modify the size of this window so that, either the closer to your spell ending or the further away from it, you can queue a spell so that you don't need to time it as soon as the spell ends. If you're casting a channeled spell like Arcane Missiles, Mind Flay, or Drain Soul, then make sure that you're casting a spell immediately after it ends. There are some really great tools that can help you figure out as soon as a tick ends. Gnosis and Quartz are great cast bars that show ticks in channeled spells, and Gnosis even has an option to play a sound when a tick happens. So for example, if you want to cast a 2-tick Mind Flay, you can listen for the tick to happen and you don't need to rely on your eyes watching your cast bar. I've personally found that this has helped me with clipping and just casting a spell as soon as my Mind Flay ends, as I like to pair the sound with the visual of the cast bar. Now this ties directly into tip number 2, which is pre-plan your movement. So we just talked about DPSing on the move. Now let's talk about knowing where to move. So if you think of dodging fire on Mimiron or running into void zones on Algalon, for all of these mechanics, you can plan where you need to move before you actually have to do so. So when you know where the fire is on Mimiron and where it's coming from, you know where you want to run to get away from it. You can see where the void zones are on Algalon. So if you're not near those spots, you can inch towards them by stutter stepping. This means that you're casting an instant spell and moving during that global cooldown. So a good example of this would be a Shadow Priest casting Devouring Plague or Shadow or Death, Fire Mages using a Hot Streak Pyroblast, or a Warlock using Life Tab. These are all spells that are instant. You can't cast another spell immediately, you have to wait for the global cooldown, and during that time, you can just slowly make your way towards where you need to go. So you cast a spell, you move a little bit, you plant yourself, you cast another instant spell, and then you just kind of keep inching your way towards where you need to go. You can move across an entire arena if you plan early enough.
So know where you need to go to do mechanics and slowly work your way there over the course of a fight. You will save so much DPS by slowly inching your way towards where you need to go instead of just beelining it and running for 5 seconds straight. That's going to lose you a lot of DPS and a lot of uptime on the boss. Top players are always maximizing their damage while on the move. Alright, tip number 3. Know your fight lengths and make sure you're maximizing your cooldowns within that fight length. So if a fight is short and you only get one use of your strongest ability, your strongest cooldown, then it's probably going to be optimal to use it during Bloodlust, which would probably happen on the pull. But what about for other fights? You're going to get multiple uses of your big cooldowns, and you want to make sure that you're using them at the best time, although making sure that you don't lose a use of that cooldown. It's perfectly fine to delay a use of it, as long as it's not going to prevent you from getting another use later on. Now, an example of this that actually happens to me quite often would be Shadow Fiend on Algalon. Now, our Algalon kills can be around 4.5 minutes, which means since Shadow Fiend is a 3-minute cooldown when talented, I'm only going to get 2 uses at best throughout the fight. I'm going to use it first on pull. It's going to be my first global cooldown so that I can benefit from Lust on the pull. But after that, I'm going to have a 1.5-minute window when it's off cooldown and I can choose when to use it. Now, Shadow doesn't have a ton of buffs for Shadow Fiend, but the one thing that you might have is a Flare of the Heavens or a Dying Curse, a trinket with a really strong spell power proc. Well, Shadow Fiend scales off of spell power, so what you want to do is you want to make sure that you use it at a time when you have that buff on your character. And since I have a 1.5 minutes to play with before the boss will die after Shadow Fiend is off cooldown, the internal cooldown on these trinkets is only 45 seconds, which means there's plenty of time that even if it procced just before Shadow Fiend comes off cooldown, you can wait 45 seconds, use your Shadow Fiend with the buff, and you still have another 45 seconds until the boss is going to die. Now you might be asking, how do I know how long a fight's going to last? There's an awesome Weakaura called Time to Die that you can actually customize so that you can show when the boss is going to reach any percentage of health. So you can see 35% if that's when your execute starts. You can see 20% on Algalon, and you can see 0% for when the boss dies. The way it works is it calculates your raid DPS in that moment and then is just going to do the math to figure out, okay, how long with this DPS until the boss dies. Now, damage changes throughout a fight. If you're watching this timer during Lust, it's going to be a lot shorter than when Lust falls off. It's not going to take into account execute damage at the end of the fight. But if people are dead, then it will show that you're going to have less damage on the boss, and it's going to take longer to kill. It's definitely not perfect, but I highly recommend it to anybody who's trying to maximize their cooldowns, as it really does give you the best understanding of how long a fight is going to last. All right, tip number 4, have a clean and functional UI. So I think a lot of times a people's UI is almost like another raid boss that they're battling with during the fight itself. They have so much information and it's so cluttered that it can be hard to pick out the things that are actually important on the screen. My UI is something that I've put a lot of time into setting up. I do believe a good UI makes it easier to know where to move during a fight. It can help you with your rotation. It can help you time your cooldowns. There's so much to gain from having a clean and functional UI. So I would spend some time trying to figure out what's actually important on your screen and eliminate the rest. If you don't record your gameplay, then try to take a screenshot in the middle of the fight sometime. Just press print screen a few times and then check your screenshots folder after. Take a look. Is the stuff on there important? Most of it probably is, but I'm sure you have some clutter from add-ons that your friends might have told you about, or a Weakaura that sounded good when you first saw it, but you never actually use it and now it's just taking up space on your screen. I have a video where I talk about my UI and why I've set it up the way that I have. I go into a lot of detail talking about each section on my screen and how I prioritize what I put there. I think going through your UI and removing the clutter is a good exercise for everybody to go through every few months, just to make sure you don't accumulate a bunch of junk on your screen. It's basically spring cleaning, but for World of Warcraft. Now, my final tip ties into everything that I've talked about so far, but admittedly, it is the most try-hard of all the tips. Memorize your rotation. And this does not mean to know your rotation. This means you memorize it to the point you know it like the back of your hand. Now, the reason for this is because most fights aren't just standstill and DPS, especially as we get further into Wrath, and then as we make our way into Kata or, whatever comes next. The fights get harder and more complex, and there's going to be more mechanics that need to be done throughout the fight. If you have your rotation memorized, then that's less brain power that you need to use to perform it well.
which means more brain power that you can use on mechanics of the fight while still doing your maximum damage. So this means even as your mind is focused on other things, you can still perform your rotation perfectly, or at least as close to perfect as you can get it. Now, how do you practice this? Because this is a little bit harder than just standing at a target dummy and DPSing, right? Because that's not giving you that same raid environment feel. But I will admit, something that I like to do when I play a new class is I do DPS on the target dummy. But I'm not standing still and DPSing. I give myself targets that I want to move to and pretend that I'm in a fight. I pretend that there's a frost bomb next to me that's going to explode in 6 seconds and I need to move 20 yards away. And I try to do this while maintaining my rotation. Now this ties into all the previous tips. Pre-plan your movement. Make sure you're always casting. Now I know this doesn't fully simulate the raid experience, but try it. I guarantee you'll find it a lot harder than just standing still and DPSing a target dummy like you've probably done in the past. If you do memorize your rotation, then you'll be able to focus on everything else that's happening in the fight and still crush the meters. I promise you that. Now, I think a lot of these tips are things that most people do on their own, but they haven't intentionally sat down and thought about them in detail. Nothing here is too difficult for anybody to do, and I think a lot of us want to get better, but just haven't been intentional about making these changes. So let me know your thoughts. Did this help, or am I a total degen for spending so much time perfecting a video game? I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I hope these tips were helpful, and good luck to you in your next raid. Let me know if anything I said here helps you perform and helps you actually execute a fight better than you previously have. Anyway, that's all for this video. My name's Pantsface, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okay, there we go. I'm going to take you along for a journey. You see, I set this up so it will work for total beginners or
Lich King. Now there's going to be a lot to this video, so check the timestamps to see if there's anything specifically that you're looking for.
We'll be done soon.
All right, without further ado, let's get into it. The first thing up is talents. Now, what you have on the screen here is your standard talent setup for PvE Shadow Priest. I've used this spec in every single piece of content that has come out so far, whether that's Nax, Old War, or Trial of the Grand Crusader, and I would recommend it for pretty much every single fight. Now, there are going to be fights where you want to change up some of your talents, whether to reduce your threat or reduce mana costs, but for the non-meme fights, which really those kind of are, this is what you want to use pretty much 100% of the time. Now let's talk about glyphs. For your major glyphs, you almost always want to use Glyph of Mind Flay and Glyph of Shadow. These are Shadow Priest's 2 best damage dealing glyphs, and unfortunately our third slot isn't really that good. The options for your third glyph will vary by fight, but you can pretty much always use a Glyph of Dispersion, Glyph of Mindseer, Glyph of Shadow Word Pain, or Glyph of Shadow Word Death, though I don't really recommend it because Shadow Word Death is not a part of our rotation anymore and really is rarely used, so the extra 10% damage really is meaningless.
Sorry about that. Let's go back here. Cool. Let me get all my stuff organized again, and then we can do some log reviews. But I want to check out my logs first because that was a fun raid. Okay, 1 second. What realm do you play on? Benediction? Yeah, I'm on Benediction. I'm in the guild Welcome on Benediction. All right, cool. I want to take a look at my logs real quick. If you guys want a log review, throw your name into chat and we'll do first come, first serve. And remember, if you are a supporter on YouTube, you have priority. So nice little perk, but I will still do a log review anyway. All right, cool. So while you guys, all right, Sean, you are up first. All right, so Beast. So this is my best by about 500 DPS. That was pretty sick. Jiraxis, again, this was huge. Just getting to AoE. The thing is, even with like all of that AoE, Shadow just sucks in this fight. Like, it's like impossible to beat higher than this, honestly. Assuming you have like a really good raid. It's just, we don't do enough single target. We don't do enough cleave. Yeah, I only do Shadow Priest reviews. That's the only class I know enough about to do them. Sorry. All right, Alex, you're second. All right, Draxus was sick. So this is actually my best faction champs by a few hundred DPS, I think. I mean, it's literally just vampire touch spam. It's pretty fun. Twin Valks was sick. So like if you do this fight well, you can do a shit ton of DPS. I'm really proud of this one because this has been hard with having to him. So I didn't him here. All right, Sean, we can start with Beast. Oh, you were supposed to get a bop. That's unfortunate. But yeah, this was sick. My best was about 16.1k before, which would have put me down here. But the 16.1k that I had before was with hemming, so this wasn't. If I did him, I probably would have been down here again. But that's sick. And then Anub was actually kind of bad. My best is 9.7k. This is just because my seers. So like my seer in the beginning, yeah, you can see this seer just did not get a lot of value. So I thought I was hitting the ads at first, and then I realized I wasn't, but it was kind of too late at that point. I already spent a lot of time searing. So that's why it's so important. Like you want to have like a massive seer here doing like 12k DPS and hitting a bunch of targets. Mine first one just wasn't. If I did get this, I probably would have been closer to 10k on the, like I wouldn't have seared here, obviously. It just would have been a lot cleaner damage, more efficient on the ads, which is basically what you need to do in order to really maximize your damage here. Oh, cool. So what I want to see too is rankings for, where did that one fall? So this guy had a 2-minute Anub. All right, so 50th overall. It's not bad. 11.6k. That's where I thought I could be if I did really well in the raid, which I did. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, a lot of good caster loot. I did not. But that's sick. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever be able to beat this guy without doing a 2-minute Anub, which my guild's never going to do, unfortunately. All right, okay, that's enough about me. I just like, and I enjoy that. I also got Boots the Morning Widow and my 4-piece 258, so that's kind of cool. All right, Sean, you're up first, and then we have Alex, and that's it. So cool. You know, obviously we can do more people, but if that's all that we have tonight, then that's cool with me. All right, Eon Priest, you are third rather. All right, so DP Sean. Arugal. Let me just do a doc real quick, just to keep track. All right, I need to. So Sean, and then Alex, and then did I what? Yeah, on 4 of the fights. I didn't him on twins. Not intentionally. I lost my mouse, and then, well, it was intentional after I lost my mouse, but it was going to take me even longer to find it and then click my him because I don't have a keybind for it. Yeah, I got the second Alliance Shadow Priest. I can't get first because that guy has a 2-minute Anub kill. Sorry. Oh, I'm not going to laugh at anybody's logs. All right, sorry. And then we have Kool-Aid Man, a.k.a. Eon Priest. All right, cool. All right, let's start with Sean. Sean, you want to do Beast, right? Sean, didn't you have a VOD that you wanted to watch? I just know you mentioned that yesterday, but if not, no worries. Oh, you do? Do you want to send it to me over Discord? You can message it to me over Discord and I can take a look at it. I think before we do that, I just want to take a look at your gear. It's just how I like to start all of these. Okay. So. Oh, okay. I mean, if it's inconvenient for you, we can do it another time, but I'm happy to look at it. So. I'm sure you can afford epic gems, right? I mean, outside of the gems, your gear is perfectly fine, but did I hit it live? Yeah. What's up, Kiwi? Welcome to the live stream. We just did the raid. It was pretty good. Had 2 raids, alt Shadow Priest and then main Shadow Priest. Got Alliance second Shadow Priest. Unfortunately, really far off from first. I need my guild to do a phase 2 skip of a noob. You're always late. It's okay. I mean, you're on EU, so timing's really different. Lemon? No, it's not. It's I think he's Taiwan or Korea. I forget. His name is Asian character, so I don't know how to read it. Rankings here. Priest, Shadow, this guy from Taiwan. So he's first alliance, 21st overall. I am second at 50th overall. So it was a really good raid. I crushed it on all fights except I got personal best on all fights except a noob. So no, where is Lemon? I don't think he's on the first page. Where is he? I don't know if I passed him. His guild didn't show up. I don't know. He was here before. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I'm getting distracted. All right, Sean. All right. We'll start with your log. Let's throw this into the analyzer, of course. Beasts. Oh, wait. This is actually not the kill I want to look at. Sorry. So this was your most recent kill, but I want to look at your best Parse. I guess. No, let's do your most recent, actually. I changed my mind. I think most recent is, unless, I mean, if you got like RNG'd with stuff, not a big deal. I think the most recent fight is probably the easiest for you to remember, right? So if I look at a fight from like 2 weeks ago, it just makes it hard for you to remember what happened. Oh, this sucks. So I'm assuming on your ice, Hal, he didn't, like, he hit a person. So I mean, this isn't your fault unless you were the person who got hit. But I mean, you would have a massive spike here in damage, which it doesn't look like you used your Shadow Fiend, but you're not getting a ton of extra damage, unfortunately. So that's shitty. Nothing you can do about that. But you do, like, just looking at the curve of this, your damage looks really good. Like, I feel like you have a nice, consistent, you're hovering around 10K here with Gormok. You have a nice amount of damage here so you're making sure you're reapplying your dots before they burrow. Like, I really wonder if you guys got this, and then if you could have avoided this right here. Like, if you could have avoided the second one, the second crash, and then gotten the 100% damage increase here, your Parse would have been like potentially like 700 to 1,000 DPS higher than this was. So your most recent Twins was horrible. Mine was 16.8K, so it's kind of cool actually. Twins is tough. Okay, anyway, let's get into the specifics. Okay, Mind Flay delay, good. Clips, bad. So again, this is just like 173 DPS that you should have had. You're obviously always going to have clips. Like, I'm sure I know I had a bunch, or not a bunch, but I had some. Seems like you have, okay, 3. That's pretty good there. Yeah, let's look at Algalon. I just want to see your clips. So it seems like you might have around 10 per fight. Let me switch Discord channels real quick. So that's just something to work on, is your Mind Flay clips. Oh, you just linked me the VOD. I don't see it. I didn't get a message. But did you download this Mind Flay Weakaura? The Mind Flay clip delay that shows this. I think this would be really good for you. And not yet. Okay, so it's in, I'll just send it because it's easy to. What I would do if I were you, just to work on not clipping, is just for like a few minutes before raid, just do some Mind Flays on a target dummy, and then just try to get this as close to clip it, or as close to, right after the tick, whether you're doing a 2-tick or a 3-tick Mind Flay. And honestly, what I would say is even try to intentionally clip it early. Like, try to intentionally have like 800 MS, because the point isn't that you're clipping like on a target dummy. It doesn't matter. What you're doing is getting a feel for how much time you need to wait. So I think it's actually a good idea to try to intentionally do it early, and then try to intentionally do it a little bit later. And then, you know, after like a minute or two of that, like find that sweet spot of trying to hit like 100 ms. I think that's a really good way to just kind of warm up and get that muscle memory. It came out a few hours ago. How do you message me on Discord? I guess you might need to be in a similar channel as me, because I don't have it open where anybody can message me. If you're in the Shadow Priest Discord though, that's a shared server, so that you should be able to message me. Hold on, I never message people either, so. Let's do this. I'll add you as a friend. So I just sent you a friend request, and then you can message it to me. Okay, let's update this because you have the tier 9 two-piece. Can dump it in the Shadow Priest VOD log review. That's also true. Yeah, and then you'd get other people's opinions, not just mine. So let's see. Your dot downtime is a little bit high. So 2.3 seconds for Devouring Plague, 2 seconds for Vampiric Touch. I would just try to get these to be around 1 second. So just, you know, as soon as these fall off, these are your priority on any fight, is just maximizing your dot uptime. DP, it makes sense that this would be a little bit higher than Vampiric Touch because, sorry, 1 second. It makes sense it would be higher because it's like an instant cast, whereas here you can actually cast your VT just before it falls off, which is what you want to be doing. Selly is awesome and always on top of it. Oh yeah, yeah, that guy's awesome. He does so much for like the community. How does this log review work? Do I just send you a message on Discord, or is this not for everyone? No, it's for everyone. What I do is at some point in the stream, I open up like a queue essentially. So it's like first come, first serve for if you throw your name. If you throw your name in chat, then I will do a log review. And I already have 3 people lined up for today. All right, Sean, let's take a look at your log. All right, what's up, Esteban? Okay, so cool. So I guess we can get a few tidbits from the log and then we can actually watch the VOD. I'm on Algalon still. Sorry, I'm dumb. Ignore me. Okay, sorry about that. I was on Algalon, which it's a completely different fight. Sorry about that, Sean. Okay, so your dot downtime here is actually really good. So 1.4 and 1.1. So I take back what I said. Algalon's kind of a different thing when you're focusing on different things. So your dot downtime is actually really good here. Shadow Word Pain, I just want to make sure you're not recasting on any target. You're not. Very good. Let's look at the snowballs. So you're putting up your 2 dots, you're refreshing Vampire, or you're refreshing Shadow Word Pain with a Mind Flay. That all looks good. It seems like, so you single target at 116, which is, I guess, when Gormok dies. Let's scroll down. Yeah, so your last Devouring Plague is 112 on Gormok, and then you go straight into killing the vassals. So I think you did a good job with that. If we look at the vassals, yeah, so pretty consistent damage from your dots. You used a Mind Flay here to refresh your Shadow Word Pain. And then you single target them. Makes a ton of sense. So I think you did those well. Here, let's Acid Maw and Dread Scale. Yeah, your kill time is long. And I think, honestly, after like looking through this, like, I feel like you're doing everything right. So, like, I don't even see like really glaring problems. But yeah, we can talk about that too when we watch the VOD. So it's like here, okay, you're single targeting Acid Maw. We can look into the specifics on the analyzer. Dread Scale, you're maintaining your dots, you're Mind Flaying. You probably don't need to do as many Mind Flays as you're doing on Dread Scale. 141. Oh, I guess interesting. That I don't know why this just stays for so long. 141, 155. Okay, I take that back. Your Mind Flays are pretty well spaced apart, maintaining dots on him. Oh, you finally got Flare. Hell yeah. That's awesome, man. Congrats. Yeah, that's huge. Flare is huge. Maintain dots. You maintain dots when he submerges, then you come out in full single target. I think everything you did with these guys is awesome. Like, I mentioned this already, but I think right here onward, like this section, you did perfectly. With, like, you did the snowballs perfectly, you did the 2 Germongers perfectly. Now, here's where your guild messed up. The fact that you get 2 Ice Howl crashes and that the first one he doesn't, what's it called? He doesn't actually hit the wall, he hits a person. So you don't get that nice damage spike. So unfortunately, this is kind of hard to evaluate. Like, I don't know that you necessarily did anything wrong. Like, when we look at Ice Howl, you put up your dots. Like, where does it? So your Shadow Fiend is a 403, which is okay. So you just got stunned. I see. You Shadow or Death probably as he jumps back. Vampiric Touch, Devouring Plague, Mind Flay, Shadow Fiend. We just switched the order of Mind Flay and Shadow Fiend, but not a big deal. Ultimately, yeah. And then you go into your single target. Like, this is just really unfortunate that he hit the wall. Okay, let's watch the video because, like, honestly, there's not a whole lot. Yeah, his Mind Flay delay is really good. Unfortunately, not a whole lot that looks wrong from the from the what's it called? From the log. I like your UI though; it's very clean. I think I'm gonna slow this down. Playback speed. We'll do 0.75. Vampiric Touch, Devouring Plague, Mind Blast, 2-tick Mind Flay, Shadow Word Pain, perfect. Shadow Fiend. Cool. Yeah, like this all looks really good so far. Recast Vampiric Touch there. I would have just, like, super minor. You just did a fully channeled Mind Flay to refresh your Devouring Plague. I would have just done a 2-tick, but not a big deal. Pretty minor overall. Like, overall, your opening looks really good. You swap to this super fast. I would have tried not to take that step there because I don't think you needed to. You were, oh, never mind. You're out of range. Okay, I didn't see the red. I wouldn't have stepped back. Moving just in general, you want to try to minimize it. Like, moving forward made sense. Moving back did not. Because you're not in shockwave range. Okay, so okay, yeah, he was about to die. Okay. See, you're like moving forward and back. Those are just small things that aren't necessary, and by doing that, you're losing uptime on the boss. So it totally makes sense to move in so that they're in range. But the thing is, the only thing you want to make sure you're not within 15 yards of Gormok because of his AoE stun. Oh, I wouldn't worry about the person in front of you. If a fire comes, a fire comes. That's like, that really doesn't matter. Because I mean, if a fire hits either one of you, you're both going to have to move probably anyway. But the thing is, you only need to be 15 yards away. And the fact that you can't reach the snowballs means you're at least 36 yards away. Yeah, so at least on this portion of the fight, I wouldn't worry. Like, spreading out super important during the Germongers and during Ice Howl, but not for this phase. This phase doesn't really matter. Like, you don't want to be stacked up on people, but I wouldn't try to avoid it throughout the fight. Like, stay spread out before the fight starts, but then after that, just try to maintain your uptime on the boss. Okay, cool. So, refresh your dots. Again, you were moving back. I would have just gone into straight refreshing Vampiric Touch. You did a 2-tick Mind Flay there to refresh your Devouring Plague. Good. Yeah, I think overall this looks really good. The only thing that, and like super minor overall, would be the movement. Refresh Vampiric Touch. You dot that guy up. Okay, cool. Yeah, like this all looks really good. Oh, I thought that was going to hit you. That would have sucked. Running away. So that's actually a really good thing to do here is running away, because their silence is like an AoE. So it's very possible for you to get AoE'd even though it's not on you. So that was actually really good. The only thing I would say is make sure that you're using Shadow or Death or Devouring Plague or something. I don't think you used either. Oh, you did use Death. Okay, I'm wrong. Good job. You did use Death. Yeah, he kicks you even when you're close by. Cool, you swap targets. You got Devouring Plague up, good. I would just say like super minor is just your dot priority. So you do Shadow or Vampiric Touch into Shadow Word Pain. Just VT both of these and get a Devouring Plague up and then do Shadow Word Pain last. Because Shadow Word Pain has the lowest value of any of your dots. So you want to make sure that you're getting the value of your higher priority dots first. Cool. Vampiric Touch, Shadow Word Pain, you didn't. Okay, you're a little slow on Devouring Plague. So again, similar there. It's just dot priority. So VT. So I think I might have done this too. I might have done VT Shadow Word Pain, VT Shadow Word Pain. What you want to do is like VT, VT, Devouring Plague, and then Shadow Word Pain. So yeah, Shadow Word Pain is last priority. So if you had like 4 targets here, you'd want to get out a Devouring Plague, you'd want to get out 4 VTs, and then 4 Shadow Word Pains after. But yeah, then I like, okay, so here's actually one point where moving back is super helpful. So you see there is this clump of people. You have, I think, 3 people right here. Making sure you're using your instant casts. So it's called stutter stepping, which I think you do here. You're hitting Devouring Plague there. So it's like you're taking advantage of the fact that you have an instant cast to move, which makes perfect sense. That's a great thing to do. So if you see yourself clumped up with people, you totally want to take advantage of that. So good job. Just so that, because like, again, if that AoE acid comes out, you want to try not to get hit. Paralytic Spray. So it went there. You probably wouldn't have gotten hit, but it's still a good idea to move out. All right, so you're doing a good job maintaining your dots. Devouring Plague. How long until Submerge? Oh, in 20. Still got some time. I forgot that it slowed down, so. All right, so you're doing a good job refreshing your dots. You're not moving, which is great because you're already separated. I think, so at this point, something that we do is we swap off targets. It kind of depends on your guild. But what we do here is at this point, we would swap to this Drummonger and then just let dots kill this one. So it might not be for everybody. I mean, it makes sense to just kill this one. You have Submerge in 8 seconds, so it'd probably die to dots. The thing is, it's actually good for parsing if it doesn't die to dots, because then your dots are ticking while it's under, which is just an extra target to have dots ticking on. So not a huge deal. It makes sense to totally kill it first, but just throwing that out there. And so I guess the thing that I want to say is you recast your Devouring Plague here. Even if we were killing this guy, I would have swapped to this guy to throw your Devouring Plague on, because you see how this has 3 seconds. You're going to recast it here. So at, like when this falls off, I would have recasted it on this target. So, so you then put it on there. You Vampiric Touch. Cool. Like you refresh your dots. It's smart before the burrow. You disperse, which makes sense for mana. It's a perfect time to do it. Yeah, so get on the other guy, exactly. So something you do here, you Mind Flay to refresh your Shadow Word Pain. I would probably, how much? I want to see how much time's on it. You have 3 seconds. So basically, if you don't cast Mind Flay, it's probably going to fall off. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is it worth it to cast Mind Flay here instead of getting your DOS up immediately? It probably is worth it to cast Mind Flay. It doesn't feel like it is from a Fieldscraft standpoint. But this is something I have to think about. Yeah, no, and I feel you. I would be worried it fell off. Like on mine today, it fell off. I went straight into VT Devouring Plague and then recasted Shadow Word Pain. Yeah, this might just be one of those things where I have a feeling about it, but that feeling is wrong. So I'm just always of the mind that dots are the most important thing. So, yeah. Anyway. I guess let me think about this. You're getting one, so you're spending one extra global on Shadow Word Pain, but you're getting up your dots earlier. So you might get an extra tick out of VT and Devouring Plague, and you're trading that for one global. Yeah, that's probably not worth it. Okay, that makes sense. It's probably not worth it. Yeah, I mean, essentially that one global translates to what, like 8k damage? Because if you think about one global on a Mind Flay is about 1.5 ticks. So obviously you can't count a half a tick, but that's roughly like 7 to 8k damage. Because the average Mind Flay is like 4 to 4.5k. So he dies too soon for it to matter. You have a 0 to 5 Shadow Weave. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 0 to 5. Like, that really doesn't matter. The buffs on the Shadow Weaving stacks on Shadow Word Pain are so minimal that whether it's a 0, whether it's 5 is on this fight right here in particular, like, doesn't matter. The extra 10% damage only matters for longer fights, really. I guess my point is, for it to be worth it for Shadow Word Pain to fall off and to recast it, you'd have to get at least 8k worth of damage. But if you're only getting an extra tick of Vampiric Touch and Devouring Plague, it's probably not going to be 8k damage, even if they both crit. So I think I just intuitively thought about it. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's fine. You know, I trust that your single target's good. We'll just skip ahead to watching Ice Hal hit some poor soul. So the one thing I want to pause. Okay, cool. So this is the one mistake I make too. Okay, so you did cast Shadow Word Pain as you were running. Something that I always kind of forget about is that you have, what's it called? So your Shadow Weaving stacks are up here, you have 5. Is that there's enough time that you will have 5 stacks of Shadow Weaving, so you can put up your dots in the same order. Like, so Vampiric Touch, Devouring Plague, and then you can do Shadow Word Pain. You don't need to do Mind Blast into Mind Flay, which it's not, I'm not saying like you didn't do that here. I'm just more saying for everybody else. No, you should definitely save your gloves for the crash. If you use it now, they'll come off cooldown pretty much right as crash ends. Since it's a 1 minute cooldown, like Warlocks use Doom here, and their Doom ticks on Ice Hal pretty much when there's like 2 seconds left on the crash. So I would personally save, because if you think about it, you're doing 100% extra damage, which means you're basically getting an extra use of your gloves by waiting for that. So basically, my whole point is, it's a lot better to get that double use of it during his crash, because you have a potion going on. You might even have other buffs. It kind of just depends. I think overall it's better to wait. So he moves out of range. It's like, I think if they make a call about which direction they're going to pull the boss, you just try to move up, but you know, not super important, or not a huge deal, but I mean, you were out of range. Cool. Good recast Vampiric Touch. That's nice. You didn't get frozen. I guess it was just outside. Okay, so just before. Okay, so real quick here. See your Devouring Plague has 3.5 seconds on it. And massive, or which Ferocious Butt is going to happen in 1 second, which is basically it's the same timer for him jumping to the center. Yeah, so what Krieg's Scalder said. So on this crash, I didn't try to time the refresh of my VT because they were meant to bot me. Oh, right, they didn't bop you. Right, okay. So that not necessarily if you turn on the sound, you hear them say bop Sean. That's unfortunate. Okay, so yeah, one of those things. So I think that's kind of the theme here, is that you're doing everything pretty much right. I think your guild's kind of holding you back from parsing. So obviously not getting bop's going to hurt you if you were planning on having it, because you would have wanted to recast this as your final global. But okay, you get stunned. He's going over to your right. What did you recast there? Was that oh, that was Shadow or Death. Okay. Okay, so something I would have done, like, you don't need to move to the left at all. He's way out of your path. Like, you have a good 10, 15 yards that you'd have to run to your right, this direction, before he actually hits you. So you don't need to move to the left. Using Shadow or Death's not bad. What I would try to do here is basically plant yourself right here. And he's already in casting range. Like, I would try to refresh Vampiric Touch right now. So that way you're doing it while he's running, because you don't want to cast Devouring Plague because his stun hasn't taken effect yet, so he doesn't have that 100% increased damage. Usually Fiend during the movement. You can do that too. I think refreshing your Vampiric Touch is really good here, because that way you don't have to do it when the 100% damage amp is going on. You can just, do your full single target. But I would personally, how I would do this, I would cast VT right now, go into Shadow Fiend, and then Devouring Plague, and then your single target rotation. And since this has 8 seconds on it, you can pretty much do all of that without worrying about it falling off. Love being in a torch. So you did a Mind Flay before. Oh, he did just hit somebody. Duh. So it's really hard to know when he hits somebody. Like, if I were you, I would have used my Shadow Fiend already. When this happens, you're almost guaranteed to get another one because you lose out on so much damage. I know you're not planning for it. I don't know that I would have used my Shadow Fiend. I might have tried to save it for the next time, but it's just unfortunate that happened. So again, not really your fault here. Obviously, you weren't the one who got hit. Was it that DK? I think. Yeah, I think just making sure you take advantage of this. Obviously, there's no reason to recast Devouring Plague, which is what you would do just before that Frost Breath happened when he was still red. Yeah, and I think, so something I haven't talked about is positioning. I think your positioning has been really good. You haven't been in the clump of people, which, like, you cannot prevent yourself from getting frozen, but you can minimize that chance by being spread out. And I think you've done a really good job at being spread out. I'm slightly confused about when to do timing on dots here. He doesn't gain the debuff until he actually hits the wall. So Kriegs, the only dot you care about is Devouring Plague, which, if I go back for a second, what I was saying is, as he was running in, what I'm saying is, here you want to, so now he's in range, here you want to recast Vampiric Touch, because Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain update with that 100% damage automatically. It's only Devouring Plague that snapshots it. So let me learn how to talk. Devouring Plague will snapshot with or without it. So, like, if you cast Devouring Plague before he gets the buff, it's not going to update and it's still going to act as if he doesn't have it. But if you cast it while he has it, obviously it's going to maintain that even when he loses it. So you don't care about, like, refreshing these is perfectly fine whether he has the buff or not. You'd prefer to do it when he doesn't have the buff, because they will update automatically. Devouring Plague is the only one, right? So Devouring Plague is the only one that doesn't do that. So you can recast any dots here, do anything you want. And I think it's better to refresh dots here instead of when he's already hit the wall, because then you want to maximize your upfront damage from, like, your Mind Flay, your Mind Blast. So you don't want to have to be recasting dots other than Devouring Plague during the crash. It's risking the range of the totems. I mean, these totems are, like, right here. I don't know. I honestly never think about totems. So I think that might just kind of depend on the person. Well, so Krieg's Shadow Word Mind Flay doesn't refresh, like, the buff on Shadow Word Pain. Shadow Word Pain updates with the buff automatically as soon as it's applied to the character, as soon as it's applied to Ice Howl. Mind Flay refreshes the spell power that's associated with Shadow Word Pain, but you don't need to Mind Flay for it to get the benefit of the debuff on Ice Howl. But I personally never worry about totem range, so that could be something I could probably be better about. But I don't think he's too far away, personally. Right, because it's not a personal debuff, it's on the mob. Right. So anything on the mob auto updates for pretty much every single dot except for Devouring Plague. Devouring Plague is the one where anything that's a % damage increase, you have to recast Devouring Plague for it to take advantage of it. Which also means if you cast it just before that thing falls off, which is why we recast Devouring Plague just before the buff falls off, it'll maintain that for the entire duration of that cast. But yeah, so then this is where the raid kind of goes to shit. Maybe wait till this torch gets out of the way. So I think here, like, you've done all you can. And I mean, if we look here, you're at 8.5K. But you guys are 4 minutes into the fight. You would probably have gone up to... The hard thing is because of the intermissions, your details damage is different than your log damage. Right, that's exactly why we recast DP Blake. Correct. At this point, you should have a nice damage increase because he should be taking 100% increased damage. He should be stunned. Obviously, because that hasn't happened, your damage is going to suffer. And then you guys are going to get a second crash. So I think overall, like, you're doing everything like 97% correct. I think the small movements, some dot refreshes are things that you can improve on. And then just those few Mind Flay clips, I think you had like 12 or something on this fight. But I think positioning wise, you're great. Rotationally, you're doing everything almost to a T. You just need your raid to play better, unfortunately. Okay, cool, Sean. Yeah, I always feel bad when I'm telling people, oh, it's your raid's fault. And this isn't to say like you shouldn't go and like berate your raid for like playing. Like I cost my raid an immortal mount today, so like I feel super shitty. And if everybody held that against me, I would feel really bad about it. I mean, I already feel bad, but like everybody makes mistakes. So like, you know, don't go and like G quit just because some DK got hit by the charge. Cool. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see you do better. And again, I always love VODs. So like if anybody records their gameplay, I love looking at these. But cool, yeah, I think that's all I got for you, because I mean the rest is like you got stunned again. Or at least here you get the damage amp. So like, I mean, not that you knew how it was gonna play out, but like as soon as he turned red, I probably would have held off on Shadow Fiend and used it here. But that's pretty minor. Like at this point, your Parse is already fucked because he didn't get the stun in the first time. All right, cool. That was awesome though. Yeah, feel free. Come back next week. Absolutely. Would love to see this when your raid plays a little bit better. No problem, man. Yeah, for sure. I love the recordings. We get second crashes even without people getting hit, and we lusted on him last week. Oh, you lusted on him? Yeah, I mean, something that's been hurting my priest is he's been second crashing when he has like 400k HP. So we just have all this downtime of being stunned, and then he dies after like 2 globals. So you don't even get the benefit of your damage ramping back up when he's stunned because he just dies immediately. So that's been costing me like 300 or 400 DPS every week. All right, cool. But that was awesome, Sean. All right, Alex, are you still here? Because you're up next. All right, cool. What is your character name? Oh yeah, Kiwi, you should absolutely record your gameplay. I mean, I think this is true for anybody, like not even just for me to look at it. I think just to be able to review your own gameplay. I will say recording my own gameplay allowed me to just like, and it's not even like you don't need to be like looking at the same way I was just looking at Sean's, but it's like, if you always get hit by the same mechanic or just something happens constantly, if you record it, it's a lot easier to take a view of the fight when you're not actually playing it. So when you can just like zoom out from that third person point of view, and you can be like, oh, there's a bunch of people standing near me, which is why I got hit. Or this person did this thing wrong, which brought this mob near me, which is why I got interrupted. Or our paladins missed the AM on the Conqueror. Like these are all things you can figure out from logs too. but it makes it a lot easier when you can actually see what people are doing in a fight. Kek Griefer. Nice. Okay. Cool. White man. All right, cool. Which fight would you like to have looked at, Alex? What do you recommend using for recording gameplay? I use OBS, but that's because I also stream. So like, I don't think there's anything I can't show here. So this is like my OBS setup, and I apologize for like the infinite screen image, like you're looking into a mirror. But essentially, like this has a lot that you can do with it. But it makes it super easy to like, you don't need to stream. You can literally just install this, hit start recording, and you're good to go. The only thing you would need to do is if you go into settings, video, you want to change like your resolution and your output quality. So if you go to output recording, I can't change anything because I'm obviously streaming right now. But this is super easy to set up. It's the only thing I've used, so I don't really have any other recommendations. Oh, NVIDIA Instant Replay. So I've seen the NVIDIA thing because it like pops up because I have an NVIDIA graphics card. I've never actually used NVIDIA, but I do know it says you can like record your gameplay. I think you can stream through their app. So you can have it. So it depends. So I would recommend you just try to look for some tutorials on OBS. But right now, I have this as a display capture, which is just capturing my desktop. You can have a game capture. So you can do game capture, okay, and then, hold on, capture a specific window match, and then I can select, where's WoW? I can select WoW Classic, and basically say match title, and you see how WoW Classic now pops up? Because I now have a game capture. So even though it's not what my desktop is showing me, you guys see that. So I'm going to discard this just because I don't want to keep it. No, I'll just hide that for now. But there's a lot you can do with this. So, if you're going to use OBS, I would just recommend checking out like a tutorial, or like there's some quick videos that teach you how to use it pretty quickly. Okay, Alex, did you respond? Jiraxis. Okay, for sure. Let's do Jiraxis. Is your last kill your best? Unfortunately not. That's okay. Hold on. Might have to sneeze. Okay, never mind. I'm good. First, I want to look at your gear. So I'm just going to use your most recent kill for this. And then after that, we'll look at some other things. Or the other kill. Okay, so your horde, you have 291 hit. That's good. Okay, so you have 4-piece at 245. So I would recommend not using 4-piece. So 4-piece tier 9 is actually pretty bad. What I would recommend you use instead would be to swap out. This is going to mess with your hit a little bit. Yeah, he does have a few blue gems. This is going to mess with your hit because you'd be losing your tier 9 helm. But I think a nice upgrade for you would be to use the tier 8 helm and the tier 8 shoulders. If you can't, I guess there's no real way to do it without messing up your hit one way or another. You'll gain a decent amount of DPS by using the tier 8 helm and shoulders instead of tier 9, because tier 9, you only want the 4-piece when you have 3 pieces of 258 or higher. The 4-piece is just really bad. And 2-piece tier 8, 2-piece tier 9 is going to beat that all the time. The only thing that's going to hurt you is you're going to be lacking some hit because you're going to lose 82 hit from the tier 9 helm. And Blake just got to the next thing I was going to say. If you have a dying curse, that would be awesome because Fetish of Volatile Power is an awful trinket. It is very bad despite being 245 item level. So if you could make the swap and then swap in a dying curse, like, I think you're geared pretty similarly to my alt. So like, okay, I want to do this. So this is my alt currently, and I'm using the 2-piece. I'm going to swap in. I guess it's not quite the same because I don't have, because I have a skill. Don't have a dying curse. But Let's look at Vellyn's circlet. I'll leave the gem. I want to try to show how much damage you're losing. Vellyn's mantle. Swap this one to a reckless. So I'm way over hit right now. What rings do you have? I'm just going to try to make my gear similar to yours. So you have Nebula Band and Band of the Invoker. So let's switch this to Invoker. Let me just make sure I have my jewel crafting gems in. I'm still way over hit. How can I... What am I using that you're not using? Okay, this might be a little bit harder than I thought. But here, let's just swap this back. To Firestorm. I guess it doesn't really matter. The whole point here is that you can see by using the 4-piece, I'm losing 137 DPS. Now, I am still 1.8% over hit, so this wouldn't be quite the set that I'm using. But I think you can gain about 100 DPS by swapping your helm and shoulders to tier 8. Yeah, weapons. Could be Star Shard. What does he have? He has, Illumination. Oh, okay. Yeah, anyway, like without swapping too much stuff. And I think the point is that generally, assuming you can make it work with hit, and it sounds like you can since you have Dying Curse, what I would do with you again, tier 8 helm, tier 8 shoulders, and then Dying Curse instead of your fetish of volatile power. And then, you know, obviously use some epic gems, but you know, if gold is a factor or if you're planning on replacing these soon because they are 232 item level, you know, that's your choice. Oh, you have Talisman of Heedless Sins. Yeah, I think still I would still make this swap. I think Kiwi's point is correct. Fetish is just really bad. It's worse than 200 item level trinket. Like this is obviously Abyssal Rune's a really strong trinket, but this is worse than the other item level 200 trinkets as well. So if you're going to keep your gear this way, I would say at least go farm an Abyssal Rune from TOC 5-man on normal mode. But I think what a better swap for you would be using tier 8 chest and shoulders and then using Dying Curse instead of Fetish of Volatile Power. That'll fix your hit problems too. Cool. The BIS professions, you want engineering and tailoring. Okay, cool. So that was just your gear. I think we can get a nice like 100, 150 DPS out of that. Now let's look at your log. So your best kill was from August 10th. So that wasn't yesterday's kill. That was a week prior. So we're going to use this just because your other one was like 1200 DPS worse. So Keck Griefer, we're going to go Jiraxis, 237 kill. So it's a little slow. It's not too bad. Yeah, engineering is just insanely good. Okay, so we got some things to work on here. So do you use a no channeling macro for Mind Flay? So the two things here that are an issue is that your Mind Flay delay is kind of high. So 233. We want this to be around 120 to 150 if we can get it there. Okay, so you just use quartz. So what we want to do here is if you just use quartz, did you download this Weakaura that I've shared it a few times today? It's also in the video description, but I'll share it again just for everybody else. The one that shows you your Mind Flay clip delay. So let me give you the URL for this. So what would be really helpful for you, oh shit, I didn't mean to change that, is just go practice your Mind Flay on a target dummy. Hey, what's up, Liam? How you doing, man? So before we even talk about everything else, practicing Mind Flay is something that's going to help you on every single fight. Just playing the game, it's just going to make everything better. What's up, man? So this Weakaura is awesome, and I know I was having a lot of fun with it earlier if you were watching that. If not, then let me just get to a target dummy so I can show you what it does. But I think it's a great tool for practicing your Mind Flay. So your Mind Flay delay is the amount of time between, you know, when your Mind Flay ends and when you cast your next spell. So there it was 242. Here it's 193. If I wait a little bit longer, it's 1,100, so that's 1.1 seconds, 612. We want this number to be as small as possible. That's why it's red when it's this high. Now, if we get it really good, it's going to be green. So 99, 101, 107. Essentially, the goal here is to always have this be green, have this under 100. The way we can use this to practice is if you have quartz, which means you have the same thing that I'm looking at, is you can try to time it so that, you know, this is going to be as low as it can be, right? Like point less than 100 is very good. 0.7 is very bad. That means I casted it before I got to that second tick, essentially. So you want to work on minimizing that number there. And something that I would do just for a few minutes every day is just try, if you're doing a 2-tick Mind Flay, just try to consistently try to get this number as low as possible without missing that second tick. If you miss it, it'll be red like that. Otherwise, just try to get this to be as low as you can. Do a few 3-tick Mind Flays, wait for it to end. So there, I clipped it again. Yeah, this Weakaura is insanely good. I'm going to make a video on it. And I think it will just help. I don't know why my sounds aren't working. 0.11, 1.03. It might have been updated. I'm not sure why my sounds aren't working for Mind Flay, but those also help too. Mind Flay sounds. Passion Pre-Suite. Sound. Oh wait, conditions, right? It's in there. I don't know why this isn't working. I'll have to figure that out later. Yeah, I like the MS instead of seconds. I think it just makes it a lot easier to understand. But just come practice. Try to get it as low as you can. And hey, even if you do one of these and it's super high, or you do one of these and it's in the middle of 2 ticks, that's okay. The point is for you to learn timing. The point isn't here to be like, how many times can you get it to say 100 milliseconds? The point here is for you just to get used to the timing on, this is a 2-tick Mind Flay. This is where I want to press based on the bar. You know, this is a 3-tick Mind Flay. And the more used to this timing that you get, the easier it'll be to perform during a fight. What's the error message? Oh, so that was happening to me too. Essentially, it's giving you an error because it doesn't have, like, it needs a value for your mind. Like, just basically go cast Mind Flay on a target dummy and the error should go away. Villms said he fixed it, but it might not have. So I'll have to message him about that after the stream. But you'll get an error until you basically have like a value like this 232. You just need some value or the MS loaded in, and that doesn't happen until you cast a Mind Flay. So anyway, so that will help you, hopefully help you reduce your Mind Flay delay, but then also help you get rid of clips. So you lost 300 DPS just because you clipped your Mind Flay early. So that's a free 300 DPS, and then if you get your delay even lower, then it's going to be even more than that. You frequently get a shaman to drop haste totem. Yeah, that's also a good way to practice. Or like, I have my scale. You can use like your scale. You can use gloves. You know, try to speed up your casts. Just try to do whatever you can. You know, use a haste potion. Get used to using. You don't need to use a haste potion, but just as an example, like, have the timings for your Mind Flay just be a little bit different because you're using different gear. You're getting nice little haste bumps. If you can have a shaman, like Kiwi said, drop a totem, or even use Lust for you to get practice when it's like super fast. That'll be really helpful. And like if I use my Scale of Fates, cool. Anyway, that's enough on that. But just practicing is like the best way to try to improve that. All right, cool. So back to Jiraxis. Sorry, that little sidebar there. So Jiraxis is kind of two different fights. One is maximizing your single target on Jiraxis. The other part is maximizing your dot uptime on the ads. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Kiwi, I totally agree with that. So essentially we have two parts to this fight. We want to maximize our single target on Jiraxis, which again, if you can fix these clips, you'll just get like a free 300 to 500 DPS increase just by not clipping. So that's the nice thing is it's free damage. The hard thing is practicing to make sure you can do it. Hey, thanks for becoming a pants supporter.
An invitation to the pants
Welcome to the pants
party.
party.
The pants.
Leroy,
Pants.
aka Liam. Appreciate it. Okay, cool. When does Lust go out? So Lust goes out at about 12 seconds. So this is interesting. I don't know if this is this is probably your shaman's fault. You use your Shadow Fiend at 4 seconds here. Lust doesn't seem to be applied to anything until 12 seconds into the fight. So if your shaman can, like on this fight, it should happen 1 or 2 globals into the fight. So that's like 2 seconds into the fight, essentially. I use Shadow Fiend as my first global because pretty much it will get lusted immediately. So the fact that your shaman's not lusting until 12 seconds into the fight means they're probably doing something wrong. So that's just something for them to figure out. If you could just, I don't know if you want to mention that to them or mention it to an officer, just talking about making sure lust goes out earlier on this fight. Okay, let's get to the adds because a large part of this damage, or I'm sorry, a large part of doing good damage on this fight really comes down to, so the Nether Portal, what you do, okay, so you do Vampiric Touch, Shadow Word Pain, and Devouring Plague. Where is that? So you use Devouring Plague on the first Nether Portal that comes out. I'm going to talk about why I don't think you should do that. And then your Mistresses of Pain, you put up Vampiric Touch, you put up Shadow Word Pain. Is there only one mistress? There's 2 mistresses, okay. And then okay, cool. So let's take a step back here. So you're fighting Jiraxis for the first 30 seconds of the fight. You can see this dip here. This is your Jiraxis damage. There's going to be a dip when you start dotting up the other adds. You're attacking the Nether Portal. The thing about the Nether Portal is you put Devouring Plague on it. Your Devouring Plague gets 1 tick of damage before the Nether Portal dies. So the portal's dying super fast, and by casting Devouring Plague onto the portal, you're removing it from Jiraxis, which is where it was before. Because this dies so fast, I would not put Devouring Plague on it. I would just leave that on Jiraxis. Because you're going to get a lot more value. Here, let's actually look at all targets, Devouring Plague. You can see this Devouring Plague is the one that you overwrite with this Nether Portal. You can see this one gets 7 out of 9 hits because by casting this next Devouring Plague, you remove it from Jiraxis. So you cast this one at 26 seconds and then this one at 29 seconds. Basically, if you could have just removed this Devouring Plague, you still would have casted this around 29 seconds, but it frees up a global for you to use Mind Flay or to cast a dot or to do something else because this Devouring Plague really didn't provide value since you just removed it from Jiraxis and put it into another portal, and then you would have reapplied to Jiraxis. Oh yeah, filter DP at the top. You're right. So actually, this is actually a really good view to look at because you are clipping your DP quite a lot. Because so you can see again, so you casted this one at 29 seconds on Jiraxis, but then you recasted it again 5 seconds later. That could have been due to movement or something. Which if you're recasting Devouring Plague because of movement, that's okay. I would just try to, I guess what we can do is this one was at 35 seconds. Did you use Shadow or Death? 155. So the thing here is when it comes to movement, if you did use it because of movement, Devouring Plague, you always want to use Shadow or Death first because that is a stronger spell than Devouring Plague. So there's not a reason to overwrite here, to overwrite your Devouring Plague, assuming you weren't moving. Okay, so yeah, I guess the thing that I would say here is when it comes to movement, use Shadow Word Death first, and then if you have to move for a second global, use Devouring Plague. So pretty minor, but having to like overwriting your dot and then restarting your tick interval is going to cost you some damage. So if you don't have to recast Devouring Plague, it's good not to, but it is better to use Devouring Plague when moving than nothing at all. And then here, it's the same thing with the Mistress of Pain. So by casting this Devouring Plague on her, you're removing this one from Jiraxxus, which got 6 out of 9 ticks. Now, this is kind of minor relative to everything else, but this one that you hit with the Mistress only gets 4 ticks before she dies. And then you refresh on Jiraxxus, which makes sense. But the one you're refreshing with doesn't benefit from Lust. So since Lust went out at around 11, 12 seconds in, Lust would have fallen off around 52 seconds. So it just would have been better if this Lust was on Jiraxxus, because then you'll get the 9 out of 9 hits from a Lusted Devouring Plague, which is going to deal a lot damage faster than a normal Devouring Plague. So that's also the missed opportunity cost by putting this on the Mistress instead of Jiraxxus. It's not just the fact that this one only got 4 out of 9 ticks. It's the fact that this one benefited from Lust, and then the next one that you cast on Jiraxxus does not. Okay, so the Mistresses of Pain, I want to look at when they actually spawn. So I want to look at their HP. So the first one spawns at 27, the next one spawns at 33. So if we go to Mistress of Pain. So, okay, so this one spawns at 27 seconds and this one spawns at 33 seconds. You're waiting about 5 seconds before applying your dots to the first one, and then about 10 seconds before applying your dots to the second Mistress. So again, remember, first one 27, second one 33. So 27 would be 5 seconds after, 33 is 10 seconds after for the second one. The way to think about any... Yes, only use Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on ads, but the thing about it is anytime there's a new enemy in the fight, your immediate priority is to put dots on those targets. Now, you want to prioritize getting your Vampiric Touch up and then Shadow Word Pain, which you did. So that was good. You just wanted it to be 5 seconds sooner on Mistress of Pain 1 and then 10 seconds sooner on Mistress of Pain 2. And then the other thing is that making sure that had you done this 5 seconds earlier, you would have gotten another tick of 2 of Shadow Word Pain. So just make sure that you cast a Mind Flay on them to refresh your Shadow Word Pain if it's about to fall off. Because there's no reason not to just get that benefit. And put some music back on. Yeah, I think like the dots here that you did was perfect. You just need to make sure they're up sooner. Basically, so like I said, as soon as another enemy enters the fight, you immediately put dots on it, as long as it's not going to die in like 3 seconds. But in this raid, every enemy is worth dotting. So as soon as you see them, you put up Vampiric Touch and then Shadow Word Pain. Okay. And then in the middle of that, you know, you just go back to damage. Friendlies. Then in this middle portion, you're just doing your single target rotation on Jiraxxus. So it seems like your Mind Flay kind of falls off here. Is this due to a volcano? Okay, so this is when the volcano comes out. So I think actually what you did on the volcano is fine. You just put your dots on it. Sure. You got 2 ticks of Shadow Word Pain. You got 3 of Vampiric Touch. It actually dies really fast. I think this is the same thing. Just as soon as another enemy, whether it's a volcano or a portal or the actual infernals, you just put your dots up immediately. So here, nothing wrong with this. Your Shadow Word Pain didn't get a ton of value, but I know in my raids, sometimes it dies fast, sometimes it dies slow. Like today, it died very slow. So we got a lot of infernals and we parsed, which was fun. But I don't want to say casting Shadow Word Pain is wrong, because who knows, next week that might live longer. So on the infernals themselves. Okay, so this is where we want to do some optimization. Now these guys, the Mistresses of Pain have 800,000 health. These infernals have about 300,000. So they're going to die a lot faster. So what you want to do is you want to put Vampiric Touch onto all of them immediately, and don't worry about Shadow Word Pain. Because you had 3 casts of Shadow Word Pain, you only got 8 ticks. So like your average cast was 7k damage, which is kind of on the border of being valuable. But I think it's too many dots to worry about when you have, you know, here you have 3 infernals that you're trying to dot up. So I would just try to put a Vampiric Touch onto each one as soon as you see it, and then go back to targeting Jiraxxus. So I want to do the same thing here about looking at when they spawn and when you put dots on them. So Infernal. So okay, so they spawned 122, 129, and 132. So 129, perfect. 131, 136. Hold on, let's go back. 122 is perfect. Or I'm sorry, 129. Okay, I lied. This guy spawned at 129. The first one spawned at 122. So you waited 7 seconds after this guy spawned to put dots on him. Again, you want to put those dots on immediately. That's going to get you... You probably would have gotten all 7 out of 7 hits on this Vampiric Touch if you cast it as soon as he spawned. So this was 131, but the second guy spawned at 129. So that's actually pretty good. A 2-second delay from when they spawn to when you get dots on is not bad. Longer than that's pretty bad. And then this guy was 136. I think he spawned at like 133. Yeah, he spawned at 133. Similarly, I would have tried to have, you know, I think this is kind of on the border of try to get him up a little bit faster, but not that huge of a deal. Again, I would just remove Shadow Word Pain from the Infernals. Just maintain Vampiric Touch on them. And if it falls off and they still have 50% HP, then cast another one. Otherwise, you know, dot up each of them with a Vampiric Touch and then go back to Jiraxis. So I would have just dotted these 3 and then go back to Jiraxis. Oh yeah, I'm in enemies. Heck, Griefer. And then that's the fight. And that's really, I think maximizing those things are going to help you. So one is maximizing your Mind Flay. That's your single target bread and butter. And especially as we get into tier 10, your Mind Flay is going to become even more important once it channels even faster. I never went into my logs that far. Let's try to do this weekend and record, maybe fun to review. Yeah, for sure. So I think for you, just maintaining, so as soon as you see an ad, you put Vampiric Touch on it. If it's the Infernals, you just put Vampiric Touch. If it's a Mistress of Pain, you put Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain. And then just make sure you Mind Flay to refresh the Shadow Word Pain. And when Vampiric Touch falls off, if they have like 40% HP or more, I would recast your Vampiric Touch. And then just maximize your Mind Flay. Your Mind Flay, like I said, that's your single target bread and butter. That's where your most of your single target damage is going to come from optimizing Mind Flay. Did you pad on those extra ads on Jiraxis tonight? Of course I did. I mind seared like crazy. It was awesome. Oh, look at this. Let me show you. Look at this Mind Sear damage. This is all Mind Sear. Look at that. Oh, it was beautiful. It was glorious. Yeah, no, I padded like crazy. But Alex, any questions about anything that I said here? Yeah, Mind Sear Glyph is BIS for Jiraxis, for sure, 100%. If you're trying to parse, like, not even joking, it is BIS. Yeah, and we had like 4 Infernals. We had so many ads. So I wasn't going to stop to kill the volcano or something. Like, it was awesome. Your Parse on Twin Valks? Yeah, hold on. We have one more log after you. Let me see. Where's my sheet? Real quick. All right, Kool-Aid Man, are you still here? Yeah, we had 2 Mistresses and 5 Infernals. It was insane. Let me just check if Kool-Aid Man's here real quick. He was Eon Priest. Let's do, so Alex, what I'll do is I want to look at Kool-Aid Man's logs. And then if you can stick around, so like in another 20 minutes, if you're still around, we can come back to your log. Just kind of want to do one boss per person and then we can come back to you. All right. All right, so Kool-Aid Man, are you Eon Priest? Did I copy that down correctly? Trying to scroll up to find it. You are. Okay, are you Fairlena or Benediction? Let's see. This looks pretty solid. All All right, I'm assuming Faralina. I mean, I kill the volcano when there's not a ton of ads to also kill. It was just, you know, I had to figure out my priorities. Tonight was a parsing night for me. I'm not gonna lie about that. I parsed harder than I normally go for. All right, Kool-Aid Man, do you have a fight in particular that you want to look at? Anub. Okay, cool. Let's do it. Anub's a fun one because we can just start with how much padding did you do on the ads? All right, I guess actually first thing first is gear. I like to start here. You are Horde, so 296 hit is beautiful. All right, your gear looks great. No real anything to say here. Yeah, cool. Your gear is good. All right, let's do the ads and then view unfiltered damage. Okay. So you did 720. No flare. What a noob. That's so mean. Don't say that. Dude, it took me like 5 months to get a flare. Okay. So, you have Shroud of Displacement as well. I mean, your hit was fine, so I don't think I don't even remember what your cloak was, to be honest. What was your cloak? Cloak. My blind. Oh, back. J for the Sun Weavers. Oh, okay. Yeah, but you don't need hits, so I mean, this cloak's awesome. Cool. Okay, so let's get back to the ads. So the thing about the ads is, do you have a Weakaura to track how much damage you're doing to them? I'm assuming so because you went over a little bit to 725k. So I guess we can leave it like this. Okay, you have Fojji's, cool. So you knew that you were going over with this. The thing that I would say is you actually got an insane amount of Mind Seer value here. And your Mind Seer was okay here. Something I want to just look at is Mind Seer. Okay, so you're only hitting the burrowers with Mind Seer. So something I want to look at. This is where like a VOD would be more useful than this. But okay, so this is the first set of burrowers. And we have the boss here in the middle. Let's zooming in help. We have the boss here. We have these two burrowers to this side, and then we have the two burrowers here. So something that I can't really tell, they might be too far away here. I know you can like calculate their distance using the coordinates. I'm not going to do that. But something that could have been beneficial for you is if instead of searing off of a noob, which you did because you hit all of the burrowers with your sear, if you chose this burrower, for example, which is the closest to a noob, and seared off of him, I don't know if you could have reached these two ads, but you definitely would have hit this ad and a noob. But if, for example, searing off of him, you could hit the burrower, a noob, and the two ads, that's going to be your best play here. Because then your Mind Seer is still hitting four targets, but you're only hitting 3 ads instead of 4. When you Mind Seer off of a noob and hit 4 ads, yes, it's really good damage. But if you think about it, you're hitting 4 ads with Mind Seer, which means you're going to approach that 600k cap a lot faster than if you were searing off of a burrower and only hitting 3 ads. So a lot of this really has to do with how your tanks position the ads. So this one might have been close enough. I don't. My guess says it's not. That you wouldn't have reached these two by Mind Searing this one. But I think it's always best to try to Mind Seer and hit all the other ads plus a noob. Because you're going to approach the cap 75%. You're going to approach that cap at 75% of the rate that you would because you're only hitting 3 of the burrowers with Seer instead of 4. To be honest, I was trying to hit 600k ASAP, then focus a noob. Okay, so if you're doing that, You can do that too. I think the thing here is that for Shadow, it's extremely easy. So here, let's go back actually to your logs. So this is unfiltered damage. So for Shadow, it's super easy to hit because obviously you can Mind Sear and approach the cap super fast. The thing about trying to rush it is that there might be a better opportunity later down the fight. So what I mean is exactly what we're seeing here. So this Mind Sear peaks at 14k DPS, which is awesome. You're probably hitting all 4 adds with that. You're doing great damage. This Sear, for example, peaks at 5.2k, and then you're doing like 1.5k, so you're probably just hitting 1 add here. You can pick and choose the spots to Sear. So like if you get to the second add wave and the adds aren't really close together and you're not going to be able to hit many when Searing, you just don't have to Sear. You can wait until that 3rd set and then even the 4th set. I think if you guys aren't killing the 4th set, then that can be kind of grief. So it's kind of something for you to think about. But you're going to get a lot of damage from Vampiric Touch, which means you don't need to get a ton from Mind Sear. Like if we go back and we look at the Burrowers. So this is the unfiltered damage, right? Your Vampiric Touch did 384k, which means you only need, you did Mind Flay a bit. So even if we take in the single target, which happens here, which I do this too, which, you know, obviously when the boss burrows, you should single target those guys. Factoring in this extra like 40k damage, you only need about 180k Mind Sear damage. And this Mind Sear on its own was 200k. So essentially, if you cut out all the Mind Sears that happened after this first wave, you would have been perfectly fine. So these Mind Sears were kind of a waste because you didn't technically need them. So that's something to think about. Or, I mean, the alternative would have been not Vampiric Touching here, but Vampiric Touch is super efficient damage for it being a single global to deal like 22 to 20. Your average cast was almost 30k for Vampiric Touch. That's huge. So I think here, instead of trying to rush it with Sear, you should be really selective about your damage. Always Vampiric Touch them when they run in, but then only Mind Sear if the adds are really grouped. If they're not, then just wait. You can wait to Sear here if it's better. You could even, you know, do something on the 4th set of ads, throw out a VT or 2. I think in order to parse, you have to find the most efficient use of your damage on the ads. And like this Mind Sear doing 5k DPS is not doing that. So the thing about the 4 Vampiric Touches is, I think the answer is yes. But the difference, Moon, is that the ads are running in as you're casting Vampiric Touch. So they're not grouped, which means you wouldn't have been able to Mind Sear when you were Vampiric Touching anyway. So the value, so that Vampiric Touch can't be compared versus a Mind Sear. It can be compared versus a Mind Flay on a noob, which is what you would have been doing instead during those casts. So that's why like Mind Sear is incredibly efficient once everything's grouped. But that assumes you're hitting at least 3 or 4 targets, which here you definitely were. Here you were probably hitting 2 and then 1 towards the end. And then this Mind Sear was probably just 1 target. So that's where picking and choosing your spots to AoE are really important. And I think it's perfectly fine to not Sear here, not Sear here. And then if you're at like, you know, your average Vampiric Touch is doing 30k. So if you're at like 570k, 540k as you approach that 4th wave, you can throw out a VT or 2 where, yes, that's 1 or 2 globals. That's not going to go on the boss when you should be focusing the boss. But I don't think those 1 or 2 globals are going to be the difference between your guild killing that fight. I mean, 418 is still a pretty quick kill. But when it comes to parsing, you want to really be optimal about that. The other thing is that don't use wild magic, use a haste potion. Kind of small. Use haste as your pre-pot and then use it during lust. The fight's just so short that haste is going to be stronger than using wild magic. Okay, Shadow Fiend looks good, using it on pull here, and then using it so it benefits from Lust. Also good. Like, really, the main thing on this fight is getting that efficient use of AoE on the burrowers. Okay, so 198 MS, 6 early clips, not the worst. I would like same thing that I said to Alex earlier, and pretty much that's saying all stream, is just work on reducing this MS. Download that Weakaura that I was using. I think it's super helpful. Look at a noob himself. I guess let's do this. Back up. VT downtime 1.4 seconds. It's not bad at all. DP is 2.1 seconds downtime. tell me why you stink. See, I don't think I have time tonight. But I would say, so the other thing, so you can see you had 6 seconds of downtime here. And I guarantee the reason is because you were dotting up the ads. So just try to be mindful of that, is that as you're dotting up the ads, make sure that, so you dotted the last burrower at 20.5 seconds. You didn't refresh this DP until 25 seconds. You essentially waited 4 seconds after finishing this cast of VT before you refresh Devouring Plague onto a noob. So just be mindful of maintaining your dots. That's the most important thing. Did you mind sear in between? You did. So you mind seared. I would just say put your dots up on a noob sooner and then mind sear. Again, you don't really need to rush mind sear because you're always going to get that value. But here you're just missing out on a few ticks of, like, you missed out on 6 seconds worth of Devouring Plague, which could be about 3 ticks. And then 5 seconds of downtime on this. So you missed maybe 5 ticks, like 2 from Vampiric Touch, 3 from Devouring Plague on a noob. When this Mind Sear, if pushed back, you're not going to lose any of that damage whatsoever. Does that all make sense, Kool-Aid Man? I think overall, everything looks good. Cool. Yeah, I think for you, it's really being efficient with the ads, with your damage. So just picking and choosing the spots when you sear. And then just making sure your dots never fall off a noob. Or, like, as soon as they do fall off, you're reapplying them immediately. And the other thing about the ads, too, is that, like, let's go back to your replay. If you, I might need to just make up a scenario if I can't find it here. Zoom in. I want to see if you have a situation where, so this is kind of that situation. It doesn't really count because a noob was gone and he had burrowed at this point. So I know this is probably super small for you guys, and I can't really zoom in because the icons stay the same size. It's kind of annoying. But so this burrower is about to die. This burrower is about to die. This one has, I don't know, 20% HP, and this one has like 30%. If you get into a situation where it's like, basically you have 3 ads that have like 15% HP, but one has 40%, you can always throw up another VT on that one that has a lot of extra HP, because you'll get a lot of value out of that Vampiric Touch. And then you can go back to single targeting the boss. So that's also another way for you to get more value out of Vampiric Touch. And so you don't need to worry about mind searing if your ad placement isn't good enough for mind searing. Is just try to pick out the ads that have more health than the others to reapply VT to. All right, cool. I guess any questions about anything I said here? And then I said this before, but just make sure you're using Haste Potion. Wild Magic's better on shorter fights or when you have bad gear, but your gear is pretty good. So just make sure you're using Haste Potion as a pre-pot and then with Lust. No problem, Sean. I think you're wrong. I think Shadow will come close to mages on single target, but you know, we'll know when we see it. Like mages will probably be better, but Shadow won't be too far off. I think it also depends on the skill of the mage versus the skill of the Shadow Priest. But like in my guild, I don't know that I'll ever beat our like top 2 mages. I don't know. It's so hard to say because we still don't know what scaling is going to be like. I think it'll be close though. I think if you are both equally 99 parsers, they will probably beat you, but you won't be too far behind. Yeah, no problem, Kool-Aid man. Happy to help. All right, Alex, we can go back to. Sorry, which fight did you say you wanted to do? Oh, and you asked about Living Flame over Dying Curse. You'll just have to sim it. They're both really good trinkets. If you need more hit, then Living Flame will probably be better. If you don't, then probably use Dying Curse. Moon, did you spam my chat? Priest. Oh, get out of here. Mage is gonna pump. That's some shit. I mean, mages will pump. They will. I still think that, like, I don't think I'll probably ever beat Bouncy on a single target fight. But I could probably beat Tonsil. We'll see. Once, you know, Tonsil's really good, so I might regret saying that, but I think any other mage, I'd whoop him. So Moon, you still do Mind Blast. The way it works is you don't Mind Blast for like optimal DPS. You don't Mind Blast during Lust at all when you have your 4-piece or when you're in Biss. And then you won't Mind Blast during a Trinket proc. And those are 10 to 15 seconds. So that essentially gives you on like a 2-minute fight. There will be probably about 60 to 70 seconds of it that you don't want to Mind Blast for, but the other 40% of the fight you will. And that's why we get Ret Pallies. Come on. Promise them a Shadowmourne. Tell them to come into the raid. And then we'll have replenishment. And you don't need me. Yeah, me press Mind Flay. Exactly, G. You're right. Yeah, I mean, I hope you know there's a difference between optimally playing and making sure that I refresh replenishment, which I would obviously do. If the fight's super fast, like I'm thinking, I know if Rawface or Festergut, I think one of them is a single target fight that'll probably be over in like 2 minutes. That's a fight where you probably don't really care about replenishment uptime. So, but like on Lich King, for example, just because we have Lust doesn't mean I'm not going to Mind Blast for that. Festergut's the fast DPS burn one, yeah. Okay, let me see. Alex, are you still here? If not, G, were you the one who said take a look at your logs? I can take a look at your logs, G, if Alex isn't here. And then you'll be the last one for the night. More of Jordy. You were watching Jordy watch tank spot videos? I mean, I think watching tank spot videos is good to get an understanding of the fight, but it's definitely not going to be the strategies we use. Our DPS is going to be like 50% higher than theirs. But I mean, it's good to just see the fights as they were on live, not private server. Any thoughts about desyncing trinkets for a noob if you're going to have a proc that it goes off closer to the first borrowers? I mean, the only problem with that, I think it depends on your trinkets. Like, if you have a flare, that thing, like, barely procs anyway, so I don't think desyncing that is necessarily a good idea. If you have a Dying Curse, which procs off of literally everything, that could be worth it. For a dying curse, it's probably worth it. Not based off of any math, just based off of feels craft in my brain right now. It's probably worth it. Right, and that's the other. Moon makes a good point. You don't want to miss a trinket proc. I don't know that you would because, for instance, dying curse is a 45-second internal cooldown, and a noob burrows after 80 seconds, which means you're only getting 2 procs during that first burrow phase anyway. So whether that happens at 0 seconds and 45 seconds or that happens at 20 seconds and 65 seconds, I don't think really matters. And then you can just try to, the only thing is that you might need to play around with the timing during phase 2. All right, see ya, Saban, thanks for hanging out. Yeah, Abyssal Rune has a 25% proc rate, whereas Flare is 10%. So yeah, I think it might be worth it. I think you just need to be careful with probably not procking it towards the end of phase 2. So you might need to stop DPS in an optimal parsing situation. You might need to stop DPS on the little scarabs in phase 2 so that you don't get a proc just as phase 2 ends. Although my Flare likes to do that to me anyway, so I don't, you know, might just be luck of the draw on that one. Okay, so I don't think Alex is here anymore. G, did you want a log review or were you just trolling before? Because if not, then I'm going to end the stream here. Otherwise, I'm happy to do one more log review. We get ring procs next tier also to track. I don't know what that means, Moon. Seems like a lot of words that don't form a sentence. Oh, ring procs. Yeah. I was thinking of procs the hunter in our raid, not the proc on the ring. Yeah. It's like 275 spell power, so it's decent. It's not quite like a flare proc, which is 975, or Syndragos' trinket, which is 1207. So the ring proc will just be nice when it happens. You're not going to change anything for it. I don't think you should go out of your way to avoid having a proc. But it's like you have that, you have the tailoring cloak, you have your trinkets. Like if you have DFO and phylactery, those are both proc trinkets. So yeah. Anytime you have to cast during an intermission and something procs, it's going to feel super bad. Abyss sims better. Well, Abyss gives you haste, which benefits multi-dotting. It's possible that if the proc doesn't happen during the time that you're multi-dotting, that either Broodmother could be better. That's really hard to say, though. I don't really know. All right, cool. Since nobody else has spoken up, that's going to be the stream for tonight. It seems like we're done with vlog reviews. So thanks for hanging out. This was a fun one. It's fun to have both Shadow Priest raids. I mean, you only do VT the burrowers once. You can do multiple depending on their HP. I'm not saying it's optional. I'm saying it's possible, but yeah, record your sessions. I would totally agree with that. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, WoW Magic. Yeah, if they die super fast, then you're only going to get one VT. But all right, anyway, thanks for hanging out, everyone. I'm going to end the stream here. Have a good night and see you Monday. That'll be the next stream. Come hang out. All right. Have a good night, everyone.